So you would live there more than a decade before the defendant moved in?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Ever had any difficulty before?
Never.
Okay. It is your claim, Mr. Auerbach, that the defendant, since she moved in, has embarked upon a course of conduct that can only be described, if this is true, serious harassment that has forced you to retain lawyers, that has potentially impacted on your business. You are, I see, a registered pharmacist.
That is correct, Your Honor.
So I'd like you to tell me, sir, when the problem first started with the defendant.
Well, to my knowledge, it started for me May 26, 2022, when a police officer showed up at my house.
Just a second. So the defendant had already been there for 4 years.
Correct.
So people showed up at your door. Who was that?
Officer showed up and was asking me some bizarre questions, strange questions. Are you walking around in the evening? Asked me what my job was, which I thought was strange because I've lived in Fairlawn since 2006. I file a tax return, so he should know that I'm a pharmacist.
Did anything come of that visit?
Well, he said there were some complaints.
You can't tell me what he said, because that's hearsay.
Yeah.
But did anything come from that visit?
Just that there was a complaint from the neighborhood. He didn't say neighbors, neighbor. And so I started asking my neighbors if there was a problem. And that's when I discovered that the defendant was...
Again, don't tell me hearsay. Ultimately, you and the defendant, it became an overt hostility. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And since Mr. Auerbach doesn't know the genesis of your problem with him, why don't you tell me, when did you start to have, according to you, a problem with him?
Your Honor, I moved in July of 2019. Between July of 2019 and late 2021, I had noticed behavior. Marijuana was not legal in the state of Ohio. It is now legalized. But he was using marijuana outside on a very, very regular basis. Our condo units are very close in proximity. So he would be smoking outside and they'd be coming into my windows. As a matter of fact, I remember coming home from work one day and my entire unit smelled like marijuana. Not illegal, but like it's a nuisance for me.
In what year was that?
That was through the duration of 2021.
Just a second. That started in 2021.
That's correct.
Okay. But you moved in 2019. So in 2019, you didn't have a problem. In 2020, you didn't have a problem.
I had seen him using during those times. But
well, right now, marijuana use is legal. It's not illegal. Not illegal. And according to you, you could only see him outside.
Right in front of my windows.
It was in front of your windows, which, according to you, impacted inside your apartment. On occasion, you smelled it inside your apartment. So what did you do?
So late 2021, I had acquired these issues with Mr. Auerbach.
Now, what issues did you acquire with him? So far, you smelled marijuana. What did you do as a result of seeing Mr. Auerbach smoke marijuana or smell it in your apartment when you came home? What did you do?
Late 2021, I overheard Mr. Auerbach and his former girlfriend arguing very extremely. They had actually left their door wide open, and I heard this woman screaming. And knowing that he had been...
Scream, just a second. Screaming what?
Just fighting.
She wasn't screaming, ah! She was screaming at him.
That's correct.
He was screaming at her.
That's correct.
Okay, you didn't hear her screaming. You heard two people having a fight.
I heard her
You heard two people having a fight.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I called the police.
Okay. Do you recall what it is that you said to the police?
I told the police that there was a disturbing fight happening in front of my unit, and it seemed to be violent. And I was just worried for that girl. And I remember what she was saying, but I don't know if that's appropriate to say here.
Douglas Auerbach claims his neighbor, Rachel Capron, owes for lost wages and attorney fees after making false accusations. Rachel is countersuing Douglas for harassment and emotional distress.
Now, I'd like to know what she was saying. I'm not accepting it for the truth of whether or not she actually said it, but I'd like to hear what you tell me you heard or what you tell me you relayed to the police.
Sure. She had said that he was a predator, was her word, and that he had created a fake Facebook profile to hit on her friend, is the words that I heard from his former girlfriend.
So it was a domestic fight. So that's not screaming. According to you, that's factual. She wasn't screaming, "Get off me, you're hurting me." They were having a fight about a Facebook page he created that she didn't like. So now you interjected yourself by calling the police, and you were frightened for the girl. So far, she sounds as if she can protect herself, based upon what you tell me. So you called the police, and do you remember when that was?
That was October of 2021.
That's not true.
Say nothing. When did the problems start that you refer to in your answer about the parking spaces in front of your condo?
Yes, so on February 6th of 2022, again, I called the police because of Mr. Auerbach's behavior.
No. You called the police because you heard, saw what?
This was when foreign guests were coming into and out of his home multiple hours throughout the day and the night. I had known that he was a pharmacist just through the talk of the neighborhood. But
well, it's not the talk of the neighborhood unless you're talking or listening. You saw foreign people coming in and out of his apartment, so you called the police.
That's correct.
That was the second call that you made?
That's correct.
Okay. I want you to get to the parking spaces.
Sure.
You don't have assigned spaces in the front of the building, correct?
That's correct.
But in front of your building, there are certain spaces. In front of his building, there are certain spaces, but they're not assigned.
Yes.
According to what I read, he was parking in front of your building.
Once the issues between Mr. Auerbach and myself came up, he started parking all of his vehicles immediately in front of my unit so that when I come home from work, I have nowhere to park. I can choose to park in my garage,
Just a second.
but I have no spaces.
When you say the issues arose, he wasn't having any issues with you. At that time, you were having issues with him.
That's correct.
You were having issues with him with smoking marijuana. You were having issues with him with having foreign visitors that you didn't recognize or know. So far, he didn't have any issues with you. Did the police respond on both instances, do you know?
When I called the police in late October of 2021, I know they came out to just do a basic well check. On February 6, 2022, when I called the police for him acting odd and having the foreign people coming in and out of his unit, he actually screamed at my window, "Clean up your dog, I hate you." And at that moment, it was very early in the morning.
Just a second. That was after your second call to the police. What happened next?
I purchased a Ring doorbell camera.
So you bought a Ring camera, and?
I bought the Ring camera, and from that day, I have now to this day hundreds of videos of him harassing me.
And other than these two calls to the police, did you make any other calls to the police about him?
Yes.
How many?
There were 6 total over the last 2+ years, 6 total reports.
Did you ever ask him to park his cars in front of his own building?
No, because at this...
Did you ask anyone else, like the condo association, anyone else, to ask him to park his cars in front of his own building?
I had brought that to the HOA attention.
When you say you brought it to the HOA, you went to the homeowners association.
I did.
And when you went to the homeowners association, in what month and year was that?
Approximately March of 2022.
Did you go to them in person or by mail?
By email.
I'd like to see it.
Unfortunately, I don't have that email.
Do you remember the complaint that you made when you sent an email to the homeowners association?
I do.
Well, in your best terms, what did you complain about?
I just said, I understand that there are no assigned parking spots, but he's got 6, 8 spots in front of his. I have 4. And ever since we've started to have problems with one another, he started parking 1, 2, or 3 of his vehicles in front of mine.
True.
And was that the only complaint that you made? Was that all that you said in the email to them?
Yes, it was strictly parking.
Did they respond to you?
They did.
And what was the response?
Parking is not assigned.
Parking is not assigned. Right. Now, there came a point where you filed harassment charges against him, and there was a trial.
That's not true. There was no trial.
You filed harassment charges again. Were you arrested, sir?
No, I was cited, though. They
Okay.
stopped at my house.
And did you both appear at some sort of a hearing with regard to that?
Yes.
When was that?
I filed the protection order on June 29th, 2022.
And you served him. Do you have a copy of that complaint?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay, so this says, after reporting he has harassed and verbally via telecommunications and has physically stalked me, after reporting his drug use to the police, comments of "go kill yourself," some very bad language, have been made through my security camera. He also flips me off while shouting, again, expletive, into my camera. He watches me from his window when I walk outside.
It's not true.
Now, when you appeared together, what place did you go to? A courthouse?
Yes.
And did you appear before a judge?
Yes.
What month did you appear before a judge in 2022?
I have noted that October 7th of 2022, the charges that he had received were in fact dropped. But when
Just a second. I'm not there yet.
Douglas Auerbach has accused his neighbor, Rachel Capron, of harassing him and making false accusations. Rachel says Douglas has been excessively harassing her through her Ring camera.
You went together with him to a courthouse. What happened when you went with him to the courthouse?
So the first time we went to the courthouse, we had gone on 2 different occasions. The first time we met with a judge and I was given the opportunity to testify. I went up on the stand and I gave her a summary of what he's been doing to me. During this testimony, the judge actually pulled the counsel into the back room. And when she came out, she said, "Mr. Auerbach, I see what you're doing." She said, "I see you looking at her."
I want to know what happened with that case. You testified. You had a lawyer. He had a lawyer.
I didn't have a lawyer at that time.
You
did
had
not
said
have
you
a
had a
lawyer.
public defender.
Right, a public defender. I hadn't hired.
Just a second. A public defender is a lawyer.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Just because you're not paying for it doesn't mean he or she is not a lawyer. You had a lawyer.
Yes.
And after you testified, what happened?
The hearing was continued.
To another day.
That's correct.
And what happened on the next date, which was when?
The next date was October 7th of 2022.
Okay, and what happened on that date?
So my public defender was there. We just waited, and she came over to me and said that the case was dismissed. I never saw anybody or talked to
Just a
anybody.
second. You came back the next time, and your case was dismissed.
Yes.
So do you have a decision with regard to that? Do you have a decision with regard to that? I'm just curious as to what happened.
Well, there was actually 7 court dates that I attended. Those first few were arraignments.
Does anybody have any written document with regard to what happened at that hearing?
I have the court
the
details
decision.
right here
the decision.
with the dismissed.
Well, all it says is dismissed. I don't know.
Well, it's the whole court detail.
Just a second.
It'll illuminate on all the court dates that she's forgotten
date.
about.
Mr. Auerbach. Oh, yeah, there were a lot of court dates.
There were a lot.
Shh. You don't have to agree with me, sir. That's a statement. So there was nothing but a dismissal. And it was a dismissal after you testified. After you testified, the case was ultimately dismissed. I'm not entertaining your case because your case has already been adjudicated. It was dismissed, so I'm not hearing that. It's not that it was dismissed on some technicality. You, in fact, testified. Your case against him has already had its day in court. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's get back to false charges, lost wages. Now, Mr. Auerbach, false charges. He has harassed me via telecommunications. Okay, so that's what you say. I want you to tell me exactly what telecommunications you've referenced.
So I have a video that I would like to show on the big screen. If you would.
Just a second. Is that the telecommunications that you're talking about?
Yes. So on the Ring camera, him constantly talking into my camera or making gestures at the camera of my home.
And that was after you called the police several times on the defendant, who was never arrested as a result of any of those complaints. No charges ever filed against him. And then you put a Ring camera in because he said something about cleaning up after your dog. That frightened you. I must admit, I am less than ladylike. I think when I see somebody who's failing to pick up after their dog, as far as I'm concerned, it should be a felony, punishable by 15 to life.
I've never not picked up. I have a little Shih Tzu,
I'm just telling you.
Lots of Shih Tzu.
I always pick up.
So now I'd like to see, after you put a Ring camera in, because after you started to have trouble with him, according to you,
yes,
for doing nothing that was illegal, but for which you called the police several times, now I'll see your video.
Standing on my doorstep.
Shh, 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 shh.
flicking me off, spitting, flicking me off.
That stupid dumb.
This is every day.
Why? Oh, thankful, grateful, blessed. Yeah, we'll see about that. You're gonna be paying me. Get shot.
Get shot.
You talked to my daughter.
When he attacked my dad.
I never talked to her before. Talk to me. Get me.
Talk to me.
No.
No, man to man. Man to man.
You want to tell me to go kill myself in my camera? Call me back every day.
Just a second. Who are those people?
So the rainbow hoodie is myself. The person with the flannel was my dad, who
Okay, so that was your father.
seconds prior
That was just a second.
attacked outside in the parking lot.
I don't know about that or not. I asked who it was. Sure. I didn't see any attack. I saw that you're not getting along. Okay, keep going.
Every day, dude. Why don't you leave me alone? I'm 25 years younger than you.
Anything else?
It's the end of the video.
Thank you.
That's
Has
8 of
physically
100.
stalked me.
Yes.
I want to know how he has physically stalked you. Is that what I just saw? Or you're talking about follows you to your job, follows you to... Let me hear.
Sure.
Never.
So I have a little Shih Tzu that I walk around my neighborhood, and when I'm walking her, he has gotten into his Camaro, came up right next to us, puts it in neutral, and rums his engine at me as I'm walking my dog, me minding my business, looking straight. I don't say anything back. I just keep going till I get home to my house
How many
safely.
times? Yeah. How many times had you called the police on him? Because you see, you hadn't had any trouble with him, which is what I'm having a problem wrapping my head around. He was having a fight with his girlfriend. You called the police.
I could hear the entire argument from my unit.
Mind your business.
She didn't say, don't put the knife in my face, don't point the gun at me. They were having a fight.
I have videos of him spitting on my door.
You started harassing him.
But why can't he leave me alone is my question.
He should. Then you should leave him alone.
I agree.
But you started it.
This is Judy Justice. Previously on Judy Justice.
Tell me, sir, when the problem first started with the defendant.
It started for me when a police officer showed up at my house.
When did you start to have a problem with him?
He was using marijuana outside, so he would be smoking outside and they'd be coming into my windows, and my entire unit smelled like marijuana.
After reporting his drug use to the police, comments of "go kill yourself" have been made through my security camera. Now I'll see your video.
You want to tell me to go kill myself in my camera? Call me back every day.
Just a
dude.
second.
Why
Who
don't
are
you
those
leave me alone?
people?
The person with the flannel was my dad, who seconds prior
That was just a
attacked
second.
outside in the parking lot.
I don't know about that or not. How many times had you called the police on him? Because you see, you hadn't had any trouble with him, which is what I'm having a problem wrapping my head around.
And now, the conclusion. Douglas Auerbach. is suing his neighbor, Rachel Capron, for lost wages, false charges, attorney fees, and harassment.
Okay. When was your call to the police that he was smoking marijuana?
The first one was May 23rd of 22 is when they're noted in the police report, and I have a copy of that.
And then he cursed you. That's clear. That's in here. Have been made through my security camera. He watches me from his windows when I walk outside.
And me.
I see your mother shaking her head, yes.
Regarding the stalking, I hadn't seen my parents in a while, and they came over to go out to dinner together. And they showed up. I walked outside of my unit to get into my dad's car, and Mr. Auerbach came out and said to my dad, and that's when that last video that you saw was him saying, "Leave my daughter alone."
But the truth is, from his perspective, madam, you had been harassing him. Do you understand that? He had had no trouble living in his apartment from 2006. You move in and you don't like the fact that he's doing something that is not illegal,
It wasn't
but is
illegal at the
smelling up
time.
your house. Well, the first time you called was in May of 2022. When did marijuana become legal in your state?
I believe it was November 8th of 23.
It was November 7th, 2023.
Medical became years before that. I have a medical card.
Well, everybody can get a medical card, but that
But-
means, but
doesn't
it means you
matter. I'm
have, but it
following the
means you
rules.
have one. Do you have,
Absolutely.
Did you ever show anyone your medical marijuana card?
No.
Would you like to show it to me?
Sure.
I'd like to see it.
Is it dated?
Yeah, he has a Ohio medical marijuana registry, and it was issued October 2nd, 2021. Would you like to see it?
Thank you.
Just for my information, Mr. Rabak, the defendant has already told me why she called the police the first time, which is about this fight that you had with your then girlfriend. How long had you been with this girlfriend?
3 or 4 years.
Did she live with you?
She did.
Had the police ever been called prior to the defendant moving in?
Never.
And I have to tell you, I'm not necessarily faulting you if you were legitimately concerned over the safety of someone, but it turned out that it was a fight and an overreaction. She was accusing him of doing certain things in a very loud way, and he was fighting with her. And so I'm not going to fault you for being proactive, but you have to understand from his perspective, you were a Badinsky. When you call the police and say, there's a woman and I'm fearful that something is happening to her, and it was a domestic dispute, a shouting match, you can understand from his perspective that was a bit of an overkill.
Right. It was just extremely loud, and the door was left wide open. I could hear the entire argument from my unit. And it went on for a long time.
What you may do is, if you're calling, you can report something as being loud, like playing loud music. They're screaming and we're hearing them. And it looks to me as if there are lots of units there. As far as you know, no one else called the police about this argument, just you. So you can understand from his perspective that that's a form of harassment. And you can understand that from his perspective, since he has a legal marijuana card that was issued a year before, and I'm not going to ask him why, because, you know, you can say you have an ingrown toenail and get a medical marijuana card. But he was not doing anything illegal. And then you say that there were people coming in and out of his unit. Do you have any video of that?
I do not.
No.
That was before I got the Ring camera, before the harassment
What do you mean? So your concern was, and your reporting was, these are foreigners coming into his apartment, and the connotation was that he was a drug dealer.
I saw one.
That was the connotation, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Douglas Auerbach is suing his neighbor, Rachel Capron, for lost wages, false charges, attorney fees, and harassment. Rachel is countersuing, claiming Douglas harassed her, causing emotional distress.
And so what you're telling me, as soon as you got the Ring camera, the people stopped coming? He went out of business?
I didn't see people coming anymore. He hated the camera. And the one person that I saw show up at his house was knocking on his door. His old girlfriend had answered the door, and he was doing this like nodding out motion. And I was scared. I live, like you said, our doors are less than 20 feet apart from one another. And there's this guy outside his front door that is clearly impaired from something.
Well, I don't.
And needing him.
Mind your business.
Shh, shh, shh.
Mind you, if I have to go outside and let my dog outside, I should be able to do that without running into these foreign people that are coming to his home or running into him, cussing me out, calling me every name under the sun. And
Madam,
spitting
you
on
have
my
to
door.
understand, I'm going to tell you, and your mother is nodding and agreeing with you, he did not precipitate this hostility. I know that you feel as if he did, but he didn't. He was having a fight with his girlfriend. You called the police. According to you, he had people coming to his house. You have no proof of that, but they were foreign people. They made you uncomfortable. You called the police. After you called the police at least those 2 times, you wrote to the HOA asking for them to intercede on your behalf to tell him to move his cars out of the front of your building. You felt uncomfortable enough because evidently he's going to tell me that somebody from the pharmacy board came to his house as a result of complaints that you filed, and it could have cost him his license. It ultimately did not, but it could have. And you're telling me that after all of that, you think he should be a pleasant neighbor?
Your Honor,
What is that?
Does she have to live like this?
No, she should probably move closer to you. She should probably move closer to you. He's been living there well over a decade. He had no trouble. And he wasn't doing anything illegal, and he wasn't doing anything that necessitated police intervention, both of which your daughter sought. Do you understand? She didn't know he had a medical marijuana card. And I never fault people if they have a legitimate fear that somebody, man or woman, is being threatened. But what she heard was an argument.
I heard an argument, and I was fearful of what was happening.
Well, that's not his problem. That's your problem that you're fearful. What you actually told me that you heard was this woman with whom he had lived shouting at him that he was a predator and that he made up a false Facebook page. This is his domestic partner, that she evidently found out, according to the argument that you relayed, that he was doing something sub rosa that was sketchy. She didn't say, don't put the knife in my face, don't point the gun at me, stop chasing me. They were having a fight. So you have to understand, from his perspective, you started it, and he reacted by being crude. But despite the fact that your mother thinks you're in the right, you started harassing him for no legal reason. That's from his perspective. You had no legal reason to call the police on him the first 2 times, and I don't know how many times you called the police after that. So I think you're absolutely right. I think you should not have to be in a place where you feel uncomfortable walking out with your dog. He's not moving. He's lived there. And if you find his conduct reprehensible, as your mother does, and as actually I find being cursed at, through whether it's through a Ring camera or in person, I find that distasteful. It's not going to get any better. So you're a young woman. If you're truly unhappy, sell your apartment and move.
I shouldn't have to move because of...
Well, he's not going to have to move.
But why can't he leave me alone is my question.
Just a second. He should leave you alone, and you should leave him alone.
I agree.
But you started it.
I started
Do
it
you
because
understand?
I was scared. I live by myself, Your Honor.
No. The first time you called the police, you weren't scared. Well, you weren't scared that you smelled marijuana in your apartment, that the windows were open. You came home from work and your apartment smelled for marijuana. You weren't mad. You were annoyed. That started it. You didn't have any trouble with him before. And then the foreign people who were coming to his door, that's a serious allegation. Serious. So, do I think he behaved like a gentleman? No. Do I think that you overreacted to situations that caused him to have to hire a lawyer? The answer is absolutely yes. And since it's not going to get better, since those things are in stone already, he's already been involved with the police, he's already been involved with the courts, he's already been involved with the board that governs his livelihood because of allegations that you made, and that's not going to go away. Because if he's accused and the underlying allegation with people, as you said, coming to his door and somebody bowing to him, which is the motion that you made, a bowing motion, and if the police contacted or somebody else contacted the governing board that governs his license, that all was precipitated because of you. And I'm not condoning the foul language, the talking into your Ring camera, all of that. But this bad blood exists. It's not going to go away. So why should you have to? You shouldn't have to. Why should he? because it's not going to stop.
I've looked at moving recently.
Well, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Meanwhile, I don't find any of the allegations that you described for the first two reasons to take him to court had any validity. How much did the lawyer cost you?
$3,000, Your Honor.
I saw that in here, his bill for $3,000. I have to tell you, Mr. Auerbach, I haven't really addressed you yet. And you can hear that I have a certain amount of sympathy for your position because the two things that she alleged that you did to cause her to call the police on 2 occasions before she filed a complaint against you, there was nothing illegal about your behavior.
Correct.
That's according to her. There was nothing illegal about your behavior. So I don't think that you should have to pay a lawyer. I think she should have to pay your lawyer. But I think that what I saw on the camera was a crude reaction. Crude.
And it's every day.
It was
Every day.
It was precipitated by you.
Defendant Rachel Capron claims the plaintiff, Douglas Auerbach, has been harassing her for years. Douglas says he's lost thousands of dollars to defend himself from Rachel's false accusations.
Now, it was precipitated by your actions. I'm telling him it's a crude reaction, all of which was precipitated by you for him doing nothing that was illegal or required police intervention. If somebody called the police on me and I wasn't doing anything wrong, and as a result of that, I had to hire a lawyer to defend me, I would be royally annoyed. I wouldn't use that kind of language. I would probably do something more vengeful, but I would do it so that it couldn't be traced back to me. But you and your mother both have to understand, while his reaction was certainly ungentlemanly, crude, and probably continues to be, it was precipitated by your actions.
I have videos of him spitting on my door, hundreds of him spitting on my door. So when
That's
I
a
go
lie.
to walk, it's not a lie. I have
It
it all
is.
on
Just a
video right
second.
now.
Stop.
I can't tell you that I approve of his crude conduct. I don't. But the first 2 allegations that you made against him that required him to go to court, it looks like, on at least 7 or 8 occasions, and hire a lawyer.
I have a paper lawyer too.
I don't care. You started it. He had to go to court to defend himself against something that was not illegal. What do you want?
Can I just ask one question, Judge?
Sure. You have
Can
to
you-
stand up and ask me a question.
My daughter has been changed for 2 years due to the harassment.
Do you understand what
I
I'm saying?
understand what you're
so
saying.
what's your question? Don't make a statement. What's your question?
Does she have to continue to be treated this way and continue to be prescribed anti-anxiety medication due to the severe harassment that this man causes her every single day?
I think she should move close to you.
Does he have to continue? Can you just tell him to stop?
Just, I can tell him to stop. It's not going to mean anything to him if I tell him to stop. And your daughter has had a hearing. Maybe she has to go back. If she has proof that she wants a protective order, that he's doing something illegal, let her refile, or let her do the smart thing, let her sell her apartment and move. That's what I would advise one of my children. He's not going to move, and as long as they live right opposite each other, there's going to be acrimony. I wouldn't live like that. I really wouldn't live like that, nor would I encourage one of my children to live like that. He's been living there since 2008 or 6. He's not moving. And what precipitated this whole hostility, he probably has a short fuse. He probably is relentless in getting even.
Yes.
You have to acknowledge that your daughter started the trouble.
I understand, but isn't
No,
there a
not
point?
do you understand. Do you understand and agree with it?
I agree, but can't it stop after 2 years?
Well, once the Hatfield and McCoys started to fight, they continued to fight until a lot of people were dead. And it seems to me life has enough challenges so that if you can extricate yourself from a major stressor, you do that. Okay, we're finished. Mr. Auerbach, I don't think that you should have had to pay for a lawyer for the first instance that brought you to court. Based upon what she tells me, you were engaged in no illegal conduct at the time she brought you to court. So she's going to pay for your lawyer. I don't have to entertain your counterclaim because that counterclaim is based on the same allegations that were already heard by another court and the case was dismissed. If you have fresh allegations and want to continue this lunacy and you have further proof, file for another protective order. Maybe this one will be granted. And I wouldn't live in a situation where I felt uncomfortable. I mean, he's a man, you're a woman, you're younger, you're about the same size. So it's not a David and Goliath situation. But one of you is going to move, and clearly he's not. He's been living there almost 20 years, right? Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I've been living in misery for 2 years. I called the police simply because I was concerned for my safety, and I guess I'll have to continue living with the current circumstances.
I was happy that the judge kind of tore into her and her mother a little bit. Not happy about some of my behavior towards her, being rude, but it's protected free speech, and you know, she's gonna have to deal with it.
Severe anxiety, panic attacks. I'm scared to go outside to let my dog out, scared to let the trash out, take the trash out. It's just anxiety in my own home that I pay for all the time.
Leave me alone. Don't talk to me, ignore me, get on with your life.
I feel like a prisoner in my own home. I'm scared to be in my house when I'm home.
People should just mind their own business.
It is an absolute living hell.
You know, Sarah, I actually feel sorry for the defendant. I wouldn't like to live that way. For whatever reason, she called the police the first time because it was loud. You know, I don't know whether I would call the police. I would close my door and turn up the music a little bit because there was nothing threatening in that conversation. If anything, it sounded like his ex-girlfriend was threatening him. And would I be annoyed if my next-door neighbor was smoking cigars and my apartment reeked from cigar smoke because it crept under? Would I be annoyed? I would be. But if it's not illegal, then it's not worth a phone call.
Yeah, I think people should think twice about the consequences and how long, like we've seen here, those consequences can go on for as a result of involving law enforcement in, you know, petty disputes.
Probably
really be sure when you make that call, you know, that it's have
not just
everyone's
annoying.
best interests and it's from a good place.
Right.
And I think it was from a good place with her, but I think she was a little nosy Nelly.
And certainly, what she says, she saw foreigners. Just, I don't know what that means.
People are allowed to have whoever they want come and go from their residence.
So your giant leap is that he's a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Well, those things would be irritating, certainly if they were not true.
Yeah.
And was he crude, rude in response? He was crude, rude in response.
But he didn't call the police on her for any of her behavior in retaliation.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Anyway,
it's
I
just
feel sorry for
unfortunate.
her, and I really think she should move.
Yeah, I do
Because
too.
he's not moving.
Yep.
Two brothers fighting with each other. And you went upstairs and retrieved your gun.
To use it in self-defense if he was going to choke me again.
That never happened.
I had been choked 3 times.
When he was pointing a gun at me and my son, I had to put him behind me just in case he decided to fire a shot off.
Really? This child was there.
This is Judy Justice. Shay McNulty and Amanda Warren are suing Shay's brother, Desmond Fairbanks, for lost wages, hotel bills, and injuries from an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3091, McNulty Warner versus Fairbanks.
Got it. Mr. McNulty, this is your brother,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is your fiancée.
Correct.
And the two of you were living in your grandfather's house.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was also your grandfather.
Yes, ma'am.
Also living in the house was your son,
No, we had not moved in at that moment.
but you were planning on moving in with your son.
Yes, ma'am.
An incident occurred when you came to the house,
Yes.
and your brother and Miss Warren were there, and there was an altercation on May 8th
Yes.
of last year. Mr. McNulty, you work as a security guard,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you're licensed to carry a gun.
I have a CCW, concealed carry weapons license.
And how long have you had that?
Over 1.5 years as of today.
I'm going to do a general picture. You came with your son.
Yes.
I don't know whether to look at the room that you were going to move into. The two of you have a history of not getting along, or just...
We just don't talk. I don't really associate with them anymore.
Well, prior to May 8th, you didn't associate with them either.
Yes.
Okay. I want you to tell me what happened when your brother arrived with his son.
Well, when they got there on May 8th, it was about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Did you know that they were moving in?
We found out 2 weeks prior. It was brought to our attention, but there was no specific date.
Okay, so who told you?
He notified us first via face-to-face conversation while he was at the house a previous day prior to the incident taking
Okay,
place.
so you knew they were coming. And on May 8th, they arrived in the morning.
Yes.
And your fiancé was less than pleased that they were there.
Yes.
Okay. And is there any particular reason why your fiancé was less than pleased that your brother was coming to his grandfather's house?
Just because of the comment that she made that people show up unannounced without us knowing or surprising us.
It's not her house.
I understand. No, she was just upset that he showed up. And then that's when she had made the comment that people show up unannounced, and that was what started the events.
Yeah. She should probably butt out of business that doesn't involve her. Does your fiancé work?
Yes, she does.
Does she contribute to the household? In what way
Yes.
does she contribute?
We were paying the utilities for the house. That was it, because the house is paid off.
But your grandfather lives there, does he not?
Yes, he does.
He doesn't charge you rent?
No, he only said pay half the utilities. And
Okay,
that was
so
all
he
required.
doesn't charge you rent. You'd have to pay all the utilities if you lived someplace else.
Yes, correct.
So there's an altercation on May 8th because your fiancé starts up with your brother, who clearly you knew was coming 2 weeks before.
Yes, 2 weeks, yes.
And you're going to tell me about this combat that took place. But at some point, you left this place where you were all fighting with each other, and you went upstairs and retrieved your gun.
Yes, my firearm out of the safe.
And when you came downstairs, the police were there.
Not at the time, Your Honor.
What did you do with the gun when you came downstairs with the gun? You retrieved the gun.
Yes, Your Honor.
You went downstairs, and what was your intention to do with the gun?
At that time, my intention was to use it in self-defense if he was going to choke me again. I had been choked 3 times.
Now, you've extricated yourself from this situation. You managed to go upstairs. You could also go outside.
Yes.
You could go anywhere, but you went upstairs to get a gun.
Yes.
To bring downstairs. And you weren't in danger when you were upstairs, right?
Correct.
So then you come downstairs, police arrive, and they arrest you.
Yes.
And they arrest you on what charges?
The original 3 charges were assault, domestic violence, and aggravated menacing.
Did you point the gun at your brother?
After he tried
Just a second.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have to understand.
Yes, Your Honor.
Once you're able to withdraw from a situation that clearly was precipitated by her, but you're able to withdraw from it, you can't go someplace else and get a gun and come down and shoot him or menace him because you have an alternative. And your alternative is you're safe. You're upstairs. Lock yourself in a bathroom. Go out the back door. You subsequently pled guilty. You got a deal. They gave you, according to you, a disorderly conduct.
Yes, Your Honor.
As a result of the same incident. I don't care what you pled guilty to, you pled guilty. And now you're suing him for the following: hotel bills, because you and your fiancé had to move out of your grandfather's house where you weren't paying rent. That's part of your lawsuit.
Yes.
That's dismissed. Lost wages. Well, you had lost wages because you work as a security guard. In order to work as a security guard, you need a gun, correct?
No, I'm unarmed.
Really?
Yes, I'm unarmed.
So what did you need a gun for?
Shay McNulty and Amanda Warren claim Shay's brother, Desmond Fairbanks, owes for injuries resulting from an assault. Desmond is countersuing, saying he was assaulted by Shay.
So what did you need a gun for?
At that time, after I was choked 3 times, it was in case I needed it. I had retreated back into the house to get away from him, and he followed me the third time.
No. I thought you needed the gun for your job because you're also suing for lost wages.
No, the gun has nothing to do with my job. I'm unarmed security for the state of Ohio.
Okay, so then what did he have to do with you being out of work for 5 months?
Because he called my boss and told him, and I also have a statement from my boss saying that he did receive a call from him, and because he did call him, that he has to suspend me without pay.
Because you brandished a gun.
No, it was just because of the fact.
No, he told your boss that you had brandished a gun.
I don't know if he told him that.
Well, why do you think you were suspended from your job?
Because he called them to make them aware of the situation. And
Yeah.
because I am a security officer, I have a guard card. The Homeland Security suspended it because I was away from work. He had called my boss and spoke to him directly.
That's all right. He's allowed to do that. You pled guilty. If you pled guilty to disorderly conduct, you pled guilty to being the aggressor. Whether it was an assault or an attempted assault, a battery, you pled guilty. That's the same thing as being found guilty by a jury. He's allowed to call your boss and say, you don't want this guy around. He's got a gun. And he came downstairs and he was brandishing the gun, threatening me, menacing me. And I had a child there with me, a 5-year-old child. His child was there, right?
His child was outside.
His child was there.
Off of the property. But yes, he was there.
Well, of
He was
course.
off of the property.
What do you mean off the property? He was in somebody else's house?
No, he was outside sitting on a tailgate on the street in the truck, in the back of the truck bed. He wasn't on the property when this incident happened. He wasn't around to...
You mean he was alone by himself?
Yes.
Out there, 5 years old?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, Your Honor, that's not correct. When he was pointing a gun at me and my son, I had to put him behind me just in case he decided to fire a shot off.
Where were you when he pointed the gun?
On our back porch steps.
Outside.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you both on the back porch?
Myself, my son, him, and Amanda were all on the back steps at that moment. He had the gun.
Okay. So he's allowed to call your boss. I don't think that you should have a gun anyway. If you think that you had the right under these circumstances to go up, get it, come down, and brandish it. Okay, lost wages, he doesn't owe you. If you got suspended from your job, if you got fired from your job, so be it. Hotel bills. Why do you think he should pay your hotel bills? I'll get to the incident in a second, maybe. Why do you think he should pay your hotel bills?
Because we were essentially illegally thrown out. We didn't receive any type of notice, and there was a protective
It's not
order.
his house, it's your grandfather's house. Why don't you sue your grandfather?
If my grandfather wasn't there to witness
It doesn't make any difference. He can't throw you out of the house. Only your grandfather can throw you out. Did your grandfather throw you out?
No, he didn't throw me out, but my mother was the one who told her while I was in jail that she didn't want us living there, but she doesn't live there. She gets the house when my grandfather passes away.
She is the daughter of your grandfather. So she told you on your grandfather's behalf to get out of the house. What are you suing him for? He can't tell you to get out of the house. Only the owner can tell you to get out of the house. And the fact that he doesn't have to give you any notice, he doesn't own it. You get it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hotel bills. You have to start taking care of yourself. What kind of work do you do other than security guard?
Yeah, I had to start up a small business while I was doing this to supplement my income.
Good. And what does your girlfriend do?
She works customer service.
Where?
At a retail store, big box store.
Okay, so you have enough money to pay rent someplace, to go find someplace, pay rent, and live like two adults. How old are you?
I'm 36, Your Honor.
And you?
36.
Well, then, live like grown-ups. Don't live in your grandfather's house. Go pay rent.
We moved there to help his grandfather because he's 86 years old. He needed help around the house.
Well, evidently not anymore.
He just asked us to move in. I moved her out of her house into his house, and we moved in. He just said that...
When? How long?
This was February 12th of 2023.
Okay, so you moved in February.
We were there
and you
for
were
a
told
total
to
of
leave.
3 months.
What?
We were there for, I believe, a total of 3 months, from February to May.
Okay, so you have to find yourself a place to live. Actual damages for assault. Now, you pled guilty, so I'm not interested in whatever assault took place. You pled guilty to being the aggressor in this incident. Are you claiming that you were assaulted as a result of this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now tell me exactly, in your words, how the defendant assaulted you.
He had Mr. McNulty in a chokehold.
Just a second. That's not how it started. It started because you said to him...
I made a comment under my breath. People like to show up unannounced. He didn't like what I had to say.
What did he say to you?
He got in my face and said, "What did you say? What the hell did you say? I want to hear what you have to say." And that's when Mr. McNulty stepped in between us, put his arms out and said, "Hey, don't talk to her like that. Just go in the house. Just go in the house. She wasn't talking to you."
You were talking to him. You were talking to him.
Not directly. Not directly.
You were nasty.
But at that point, Mr. Fairbanks pushed him down the step. They got into a physical altercation.
When you said that your fiancé separated you, explain to me exactly how that happened.
So Mr. Fairbanks was standing in front of me. Mr. McNulty jumped in between us and put his arms out and said, "Hey, that's enough. Don't talk to her like that."
Okay, put his hands out. Didn't touch anybody.
No.
Okay, and then what happened?
And then Mr. Fairbanks laid his hands on Mr. McNulty first and pushed him down the step.
Is that correct?
No, Your Honor, it's not correct.
Okay, but we're not talking about his assault, okay? He pled guilty to whatever happened that day. I want to hear how he assaulted you.
I'm getting to that.
Well, get there.
So he had attacked Mr. McNulty from behind and got him in a chokehold, kind of blindsided him. So at that point, I was like, okay, what do I do? I had to pull Mr. Fairbanks off of Mr. McNulty.
How did you do that?
I was on the phone with 911, kind of got my arm around him.
Got your arm around his what?
His face. I was trying to pull him off of Mr. McNulty.
Use your fiance as an example of how you tried to pull him off. Show me on him.
So he was on top of Mr. McNulty. He had his back to me. So I, came up and tried to pull him off.
You put your arm around his neck.
Not his neck.
On his what?
Like right here, right in this area. I didn't put it around his neck.
Okay.
At that point, he turned around, pushed me in the face, and pushed me down the back porch stairs.
And?
Which resulted in me going to the hospital. I was 8 months out of an ACL reconstruction at that point. And when I hit the ground, the impact from hitting the ground damaged that knee that I had just had fixed.
Did you put your hands on him first?
Shay McNulty and Amanda Warren are accusing Shay's brother, Desmond Fairbanks, of owing for injuries resulting from an assault. Desmond is countersuing, claiming he was the one assaulted.
Did you put your hands on him first?
To pull him off, yes.
I don't care what you did. Did you put your hands on him first? He had two brothers fighting with each other.
We're not fighting. He was choking him.
Okay, and you put your hands on him first?
To get him off, yes.
Okay, and he pushed you off?
He threw me down the stairs.
Well, you got your hands around him. I want you to explain to me how he threw you down the stairs.
He let go of Mr. McNulty, stood up, turned around, put his hand in my face, and threw me down the stairs.
Okay, now I'd like to see your hospital records.
I have private insurance.
No. Hospital records. This happened on May 8th, so I want to see your records from May 8th. That hospital record. Yeah, they gave you Tylenol.
They did a lot of x-rays.
They gave you Tylenol.
Yeah, but if you look in the description, it says that there's possible loosening of an ACL screw.
I have no idea, madam. You have a counterclaim.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your counterclaim is for assault and actually menacing. You say threatening the life of myself and my son. You actually mean menacing with a gun. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I would like you to tell me how you were assaulted and what your injuries were.
Assaulted by Mr. McNulty, and I was defending myself against him, walking through the gates with my child right behind me. She did make a comment under her breath. I guess anyone can just show up unannounced. I did not get in her face at that point. Mr. McNulty pretty much got in my face, started pushing me away. There was no type of trying to separate us. That never happened, trying to separate us. We went straight into fighting with each other. Tried to defend myself because my son was directly behind me. I didn't want him getting hurt, try to keep myself protected. So I did everything I could to make that happen.
Do you have any injuries as a result of that?
Yes, Your Honor, I did receive a busted lip, a couple of scratches on my neck.
You have any photographs?
Yes,
and you have
I do,
a police
Your Honor.
report. I'd like to see it. How did you get the busted lip?
Busted lip was from Mr. McNulty when he did punch me in the face.
Do you have any photographs of your injuries, sir?
Your Honor, I did not have any injuries because I was simply...
Just a second, I'm just asking you.
No, I do not, Your
You
Honor.
do not?
I do not have any injuries.
Yeah. Your son wasn't injured, was he?
Thankfully, he was not. I did my best to keep him behind me as much as possible.
Did you have to hire a lawyer, sir? Did you hire a lawyer to defend you in this proceeding, this criminal proceeding?
Yes.
Where you pled guilty?
Yes, I did have a lawyer.
Did you have a public defender or did you hire a lawyer?
I had a personal lawyer.
And how much did you pay him?
It was free. I pay a membership for a gun lawyer. They protect you against gun thefts. It's a program for gun advocates. They hire a lawyer. You get up to a $50,000 bail if you go to jail and a firearm or something like that is involved.
Who hit you?
Physically punched me, Mr. McNulty. All the scratches came from Miss Warren.
Are you still living at your grandfather's house?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Where does your mother live?
My mother lives in her house.
You live there with your son?
My son comes and goes between me and his mother.
How is your grandfather?
Grandfather's doing pretty well. He still goes to work every single day, takes care of himself.
What kind of work does he do?
He is a retired mechanic, and now in his free time, he works across the street at the cemetery. He likes to keep it going.
Got it. Okay. Mr. McNulty, Ms. Warren, your claim against the defendant for money owed for lost wages, hotel bills, and assault is dismissed in its entirety.
I have photos of my injuries.
I don't care.
And I had to have a knee replacement as a result of him throwing.
Get me an expert. You can tell that story to somebody else.
I have pictures of the knee replacement.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes, ma'am.
You get an expert here. You don't get $10,000 because you say, I had to have a knee replacement. How do I know that you had to have a knee replacement? You had a pre-existing injury. And you precipitated this whole thing, and you put your hands on him first. You put your hands on him
Well, I mean,
first.
what is someone supposed to do when someone's being choked?
I don't know. But if you put your hands on him first, he's going to react to you. He's going to react to you. And he had no physical injury. Zero, according to him. So you put your hands on him first. If he turns around and shoves you down the stairs, well, that's what happens when you put your hands on somebody. Somebody gets the short end of the stick in an assault. And just because you may have gotten the short end of the stick doesn't give you the right to put your hands on him. Aside from the fact that your big mouth started this whole thing between the two brothers anyway. Judgment on the counterclaim for $5,000 for both the assault, which I see pictures of, and for menacing with the gun. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I think it was very unfair, and I think that my brother essentially lied and did not tell the complete truth.
She kind of came up with a story on her own, and she saw the truth, and that's all that matters.
Once he came down and did not present himself as a threat, the firearm was set down and pointed to the side. Yes, I did point it at him, but that was when he was still showing signs of aggression and trying to force himself back into the house. It was then pointed at him and let him know that the door was locked for his safety and ours, and if he comes in and continues to aggress towards me, I would shoot him in self-defense.
Looking down the barrel of a gun, having that gun pointed at my son's face, definitely did not want him to go through that. I definitely didn't want to go through that, and I hope he can definitely forget that and never remember this day at all.
If he was going to continue to harm me and cause me to fear for my life, yes. At that point in time, it doesn't matter related or not. If you cause me to fear for my life, yes. In self-defense, I have that right, and I oblige by it.
Just glad we could put this behind us now.
He had him in a rear chokehold. I mean, you don't walk up behind somebody and choke them just for giggles, you know what I mean?
It didn't happen how she said it did.
I still don't associate with them or my mother as well. If anything, we're actually going to grow further apart, and I'm perfectly okay with that, and my life's going to continue on, and business as usual.
It's time to go separate ways.
So something so interesting was that in his papers, you know, it said that he had pled guilty, and there wasn't much discussion about him hiring a lawyer, or like you said, whether he had a public defender. I've never heard of a club to be a part of to keep lawyers on retainer solely for the purpose of firearm charges and people with firearms getting into trouble to get them out of it. But apparently it must have worked because he got his gun back the next day or a few...
No. He got his gun back after he pled guilty, which took 5 months.
Yeah, no, after he had pled guilty.
After he pled guilty.
Very quickly was he returned his gun.
Because he pled guilty to a misdemeanor. If he had had a felony, he wouldn't have been able to get his gun back.
But that's an interesting setup for gun owners and gun enthusiasts.
Yeah, I never heard of it before.
Me neither.
To have somebody that you pay in, probably pay him $50 a month, and it's a whole club and everybody pays him, and hopefully he doesn't get tapped too often. You find out something new every day. Concierge gun lawyer. Interesting. You have a barbershop business. The defendant left your employment.
Correct. I opened my own business.
You signed this non-compete agreement.
Yes, I did, but under duress.
You cannot open up a competing business 2.8 miles away from her.
This is crazy.
That's what she's entitled to do. She's the boss, applesauce.
This is Judy Justice. Nicole Messino is suing her former employee, Felicia Stella, for breach of contract, slander, and loss of income.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3095, Messino versus Stella.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Messino, you have a barbershop business.
Correct.
How long have you had it?
Since 2016.
How many people did you have working for you when you had the most people working for you, the most barbers working for you?
Currently, right now, I own 2 barbershops, and right now I have 11 employees.
When did you purchase the second shop?
The middle of December.
2023.
2023, yes.
The defendant worked in the initial shop.
That's correct.
Starting when?
In 2017.
Until when?
Until August 6th of 2022.
From what I read, all of the people that worked for you up until a particular time, and that would probably be around 2022, were 1099 employees, which means they were independent contractors. So at the end of the year, you gave them a Form 1099. They took care of their own taxes.
Correct.
At some point, according to you, you decided to make everyone employees.
Correct.
And at that time, you also decided to have all of your people sign agreements. And the agreements provided that they could not open up a barber business within a certain radius of your business.
Correct.
The defendant left your employment and opened up her own barbershop.
Correct.
She left your employ on August the 6th of 2022?
Correct.
And when did you open up your own barbershop, Miss Stella?
October 25th of 2023.
October 25.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was 2022. I apologize.
May I see a copy of the contract that you had with Miss Stella? Because what you're suing for is breach of contract.
Correct.
This contract and slander. Well, you signed this agreement, madam.
Yes, I did, but under duress.
Just a second. I didn't ask you anything. You signed this agreement. I mean, I understand what you are alleging. You're alleging that you signed it under duress. Now, Sarah, would you look up for me non-compete agreements, Pennsylvania?
Sure.
The Pennsylvania law on the parameters of a non-compete. How many miles?
It's 3 to 5 miles in the state of Pennsylvania.
Oh, well, that's what Sarah's going to check.
I'll let you know. Give me 1 second.
Okay, so you signed this non-compete agreement. It is your defense that she threatened to terminate you if you didn't sign it. That's your defense.
No, I didn't.
To this.
And more.
Yes.
There's more than that as well.
But that's your defense to this, to signing this agreement, that she said either you sign it,
yes, ma'am,
or I'm going to fire you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's okay. She could do that. It's our business.
In the state of Pennsylvania, there's contract law. There's three things that go with that. There's an offer, and then there's an acceptance and consideration.
Let me explain something to you. The laws of contract in every jurisdiction are the same. There has to be initially an offer, an acceptance, and consideration. That forms the basis of any contract.
Yes, ma'am.
There is an offer, an acceptance, and consideration.
No.
Absolutely, there is here. It's not as if Miss Stella, she said to you, if you don't sign this agreement, I'm going to amputate your arm at the elbow.
Okay.
That's different. She's allowed to say to you, I'm not hiring anybody or maintaining in my employment anybody who doesn't sign a non-compete clause. They're perfectly valid.
Okay.
And she's allowed to say that to you. You're allowed to leave. This is America. And she's allowed to fire you. She's the boss. She's allowed to say to you, in my shop from now on, everybody has to wear a uniform. I don't want to wear a uniform. Then you're fired. You don't have a right to a job unless you meet the requirements of your employer. The only question that I have is how many miles?
So there's not a set radius. It's all about reasonableness. The geography must feature a limited geography, for example, within a defined area such as a city, normally unenforceable to prohibit employees from working for any competitor across the country.
No,
but as long as
that's too onerous.
Exactly. But as long as it's a defined geography, it tends to be reasonable.
Okay. So what you're saying, Ms. Stella, is that you have proof that in the state of Pennsylvania, it either has to be 3 or 5 miles. It can't be both.
It just says between 3 to 5 miles. I do not have that proof. I apologize.
How many miles is the shop that you opened up from her shop?
It's 2.8 miles away.
Well, that's too close, madam. She's absolutely right. You breached her contract.
Okay. If I took her clients, then
you breached her contract. It says that you cannot open a competing business for 5 years. And you certainly fall within the radius. You violated this contract.
Okay.
She's absolutely right.
All right.
When you left in August of 2022, where did you go?
I left. I didn't have anywhere to go.
So when was the next time you worked?
When I opened my own business.
And when you opened your own business, that was 3 months later.
Yes, sure was.
Don't be snippy, Miss Stella. It was 3 months later. How many of her barbers came with you?
3. 4 of us.
3.
3 total. 4 total.
4 total. You and 3 others. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh is not
Yes,
an answer.
ma'am.
Yes is the answer.
I'm sorry.
Yes, is an answer. And the 3 others, did any of them come from her shop?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so well, it's a breach of contract. It's clear.
They all left on their free will.
Okay.
I can't. I apologize.
Breach of contract. You have a counterclaim, which is interesting. And your counterclaim is for money owed for defamation of character, slander, harassment, and emotional distress.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not interested in the signing of this agreement.
Okay.
I'm interested in how you claim the plaintiff defamed you.
Well, her and her husband had a whole conversation about me on Facebook, ma'am.
Just a second. I'm not interested in her husband.
Okay.
I'd like to see what you claim she did to defame you.
She proceeded to write emails to my family.
Just a second. All I have to do is see what you claim she did to defame you.
It says that I have a current
Kevin,
record.
would you please get what she says she believes is actionable? Maybe.
She said I was stealing company time.
Hold on. Could you please just hand it to me?
Yeah. That I've been manipulating people, Your Honor.
Don't speak. Julia. And who is Julia?
My sister.
Okay. You wrote an email to Julia.
I wrote a heartfelt email
Just a
to
second.
Julia.
Just say what. Who cares? Next.
I do, because I'm a recovering
just a second.
addict, and for you to go out and say
just a
those
second.
things.
She's allowed to write a private communication to somebody. That's
a
not
third party?
published. That's not published.
not
You
true?
say she's defamed you publicly. She's allowed to write whatever she wants in a private letter
She
to somebody.
stopped a police officer and lawyer on the street and told him that I was using drugs, actively using
Would you?
drugs.
Just a second. If you have that person here, I'll actually hear them.
Right.
But you don't. I'd like to see what you claim is actionable that she wrote about you. You said she posted something on Facebook. Well, Facebook is a public forum.
Yes, it is.
A letter to your sister is not a public forum. All I care about is what she wrote. Fine. Oh, she says the cancer is gone and the entire aura of the shop has changed. The dark cloud is gone. It's almost a clean slate with your new employees. You can expand and turn Giovanni's into a barbershop powerhouse. It was meant to me. What defamation is that? You talk. What
the cancer, like I'm not a cancer.
Okay.
This is crazy.
Right.
She went around and told people that I was actively using hard drugs, ma'am.
Madam!
Okay.
Nicole Messino claims her former employee, Felicia Stella, breached their contract and stole her customers. Felicia is countersuing for harassment, slander, and defamation.
If you bring me a witness, I will hear you. I'm not hearing what she told a policeman on the street or what she told strangers. Nothing that you've shown me that was published is defamation. What else?
I was countersuing also for mental anguish. Your Honor, I am a recovering heroin addict, and I am open about that. And I tell people that.
Just a second. You have to understand, I didn't say that, and good for you if you got your life back on track. Terrific for you. But in order to have emotional distress, you have to have somebody who's guilty of something that's illegal or against the rule of civil law. So far, you have nothing. This doesn't say anything, that the cancer is gone and the aura of my shop is now different. You may have been hurt about it, but that's not actionable. Do you understand?
I do. I thought because there was a full conversation, that was my misunderstanding, that there was a whole conversation between her and her husband on social media with my name in it. So that was,
Sorry. And you breached your contract with Stella.
Right.
Your Honor, may I say something?
About what?
About the contract, and because I am also a former employee of hers.
No, you can't. Did you sign a contract?
I did.
She threatened to fire you if you didn't sign it?
Correct.
That's what she's entitled to do. She's the boss, applesauce. She's the boss. People in this country think that they're entitled to jobs. Once you have a job, you're entitled to keep it. Pay attention. You're entitled to fire anybody that works for you. I can look at Kevin and I can say, you know what? Last year I loved you. This year not so much. You're fired. He has a contract. I have to pay him out of his contract. I would never say that to him because I adore him. But he's capable of being fired. He's capable of being fired for anything other than a violation of the Constitution, which means you're being fired for race, religion, sexual orientation, probably a couple of other things that I've forgotten, some of which I think are absolute nonsense. But they're entitled to fire you if you refuse to sign an agreement that prohibits you from stealing their clients and their employees. They're absolutely
We were independent
entitled.
contractors. I was an independent contractor for 8 years. Tell me how they were her clients. They were not her clients.
You violated the terms of the contract. You cannot open up a competing business 2.8 miles away from her within
She tried to make me
3 months.
unemployable.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. You count the claims dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
Apparently, I was a cancer that worked there. Apparently, people didn't like me.
I think it was very fair. She signed a non-compete.
When I quit, so did 5 other of her staff members.
She turned all my employees against me, and she staged a walkout and took them because I was making changes to my business.
We're doing great. We're thriving. We're growing. And things have just been beautiful.
You know what? May the best business win because she pushed me to go further. I opened up a second barbershop in By Felicia.
You know, I still can't get past the fact, Sarah, that in this country now there's a sense of entitlement that once you start a job for a reason, for a non-reason, and we're not talking about the violations of
the Constitution.
The Constitution. We're talking about
parameters set by bosses.
Parameters. You have to be in at 9 o'clock. Well, but I can't because I get up late. I'll stay later. I can't be in by 9 o'clock. You're fired. Period.
Yeah.
I want you to continue to be my employee, but we're changing from 1099s to employees. If you don't sign this agreement, you're fired.
Yeah. As soon as I read the papers, I knew the defendant had misunderstood the definition of duress because it was smeared all over her answer that I only signed it under duress, duress this, duress that. Well, being offered the handbook of the place in which you were employed and being offered a choice of these are the new requirements. If you like it, great, sign it,
not,
continue working,
not,
and if
adios.
not, goodbye.
Yes.
And that's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, but don't sign it, then go off and open up 2.8 miles away a competing business and take 3 people with you. Yeah, that's a no-no.
Case number 3033, Helmanen versus Allen. All parties, please step forward.
Mary Helmanen is suing her ex-boyfriend, Lamar Allen, for the balance of a cosmetic dental loan.
Pronounce your last name.
Helmanen.
Mr. Allen was your boyfriend for a period of time?
Yes.
Doesn't appear to be a long period of time, relatively short period of time. I think if my memory is correct, you met him in October online.
Yes.
And by December, you were planning a trip to Colombia in order to have dental work done there, cosmetic dental work done.
Yes.
You suggested, according to what I've read, that he join you.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that at some point you said to him, you're really not comfortable traveling to South America by yourself?
Yes.
And that you would feel more comfortable if he came with you?
Yes.
At the time, in October, November, and December of last year, what kind of work were you doing?
I'm a nurse practitioner
How long have you been doing that?
since 2017.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a firefighter.
Now, Mr. Allen, I'm going to come to you. The plaintiff, a very lovely-looking lady, wanted to get laminates. Laminates?
Porcelain.
Porcelain. Perfect. I come from a long line of dentists.
Okay.
I was very bad in biology and chemistry, so I went to law school. Mr. Allen.
Yes.
You have very nice teeth.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Who paid for them?
Mary did.
So, Mr. Allen, what I want you to do is explain to me, I understand that the plaintiff was going to Colombia to get her dental work done because it was cheaper there. And that you were short-term then boyfriend, which is over now, I assume.
Yes, correct.
I want you to tell me how it came about that you went to Colombia with her and got your teeth done.
Okay. Never thought my teeth was an issue as far as us dating. Then we got there to Colombia.
So you didn't discuss your teeth being done before you got to Colombia?
Correct.
You're kidding me.
Correct.
You were just going to go. Who booked the tickets?
Mary did.
Who paid for them?
Mary did.
Who booked the hotel?
Mary did.
Who paid for the hotel?
Mary did.
We did talk about it before.
Shh, just a minute. Mr. Allen, I want you to be very, very careful with me because I read her complaint and I read your answer. And the complaint suggested that you had a price for your teeth
Yes.
before you got there.
Yes.
Well, if you had a price for your dental work, cosmetic dental work, before you got there, you had to have had some discussion about paying for it.
Yes.
Yes. Well, tell me what that discussion was.
After she brought it up, then I researched for us, like sending them information for us with my teeth for us, like how much.
Okay, so when you researched it, she gave you the name of the people
dental.
she was going
Correct.
to see in Colombia.
I was writing them back and forth through
How are you writing?
Instagram. They had a page.
Okay, so who was writing them? You were writing them?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so then it's a fair statement that you had a price from them before you went there.
Yes.
Now, how much was your dental work?
$4,200.
Ultimately, how much was your dental work?
Came to 8,000.
How much were you quoted before in this back and forth Instagram that you were doing? How much were you quoted?
It was roughly around 6,000 they quoted me.
Let me see.
I don't have it with me.
Why not? Where did you think you were going today?
Mary Helmanen claims her ex-boyfriend, Lamar Allen, owes for the balance of a cosmetic dental loan.
I'd like to see any evidence that you have. You have nothing. What is that you're showing
So
me?
I have the credit card information.
I don't need the credit card information. You paid for him.
Right.
And you paid for him in December of 2022.
Yes.
You paid for him to go, you paid for his... I want to see something from December of 2022 or January or February. Now, when did you break up?
We broke up in December.
In December, when you came back?
Yes.
Okay, something either in December, January, or February where you ask him for the money that you claim that he owes you. Show me.
Okay.
Text message.
I have a lot of that.
Good. I'd like to see him.
Okay.
Thank you.
The dates are on the top.
Yes, I'm definitely going to pay you back. I'm not going to leave you hanging, especially not owing $8,000. Seriously. Is that what you wrote to her?
Yes. I said I was gonna pay you the difference.
No, that's not what you say here.
I know, but I said that just to get off my back for
I'm definitely, she says, take out a personal loan. You say, I'm definitely not going to do that.
Correct.
I'll start paying you off.
Correct.
Or I'll start paying the credit card off. She said, I paid the credit card off. Yes, I'm definitely going to pay you back. I'm not going to leave you with $8,000. Well, then start. I'm not playing your games. I did you a favor. What's a Meeks?
Oh, it's my dog.
So your dog got lost.
Yeah.
And that was your priority in February.
Yeah, of course. My dog was.
And 20 weeks from November, that's when you told me, so hopefully it'll be April, and April 19th, so that's when you told her you would be able to pay her back.
Yeah, because I already gave him the date.
I don't care. Well, there's no question based on this, sir, that you agreed to pay her back $8,000, which is what your dental bill was.
At first, I didn't want to get him done when I got there.
What?
I said I did not want to get him done when I got there. After they said the price was different, I told her no. I said I'm not going to do it. Like I'm not gonna make you pay that much. So I told her no.
Not in these emails. You got the teeth, she got the bill.
I told her not to do it when it happened.
You had to go like this. Look at me. You had to go like this.
No, she agreed. She said, she said I'll pay for him. She said, well, we're already here. I'll pay for him. I said, no, I don't want to do it. It's too much money. So I said no.
Listen to me. You said no. You had to go like this.
But she said I'd do it. She's like, oh, well, I'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. Just pay me whenever you get your money. So I agreed with paying the difference, which is $3,000. Like I'm not gonna pay her the whole eight grand.
She may have found you adorable. Other people may find you adorable. Me, not so much. Maybe because I'm old. You told her you were going to give her back the $8,000 that it costs to do your teeth. You told her that in February. You said, I'm going to give it back to you. I'm just waiting for my refund check from the IRS. Then it was your dog that got lost. Did you ever find your dog?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that's good. I'm happy for you.
Appreciate it.
And I'm happy for you that you have nice new teeth and that you have a nice smile. You owe her $8,000. Did you have a nice trip to Colombia? She flew you there. She put you up in a hotel. I don't know who paid for the meals.
I paid for the meals. I paid for everything prior to that, and after that, like, I was paying it back, and because we're together, we're a couple.
Yes, then you were a couple. Now you're not a couple anymore. Someone else is going to look at those pearlies and say, I love you. Do you understand? You have to pay for that. You know, you have to pay for that. You're a responsible man. You have a responsible job. Take care of yourself. That's what you're supposed to do. No. If you let a woman take care of you,
no woman
take care of you. If you let a woman take care of you, you're not taking care of yourself. You're a big, strong guy, and you told her you were going to pay her. That's what you did. So you got to pay her, Mr. Allen. You have to stop being a big baby. You have to pay her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $8,000. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I said no one was there. We was like, well, I just paid you the difference, not the whole full amount.
I'm happy with her decision. It was fair.
She said, well, I paid for it. It'll be a gift for you. So I'm like, okay, well, then I'll do it.
I would have never given him $8,000 for free.
I guess everything changes when you break up.
I was really patient with him in paying me back, and I've never seen a cent.
Don't trust women.
He's got his teeth forever, you know?
I got a great smile, so I guess it's okay.
I'm not going to buy anyone teeth.
I think it's always risky to go to another country for any medical procedure. I mean, I'm familiar with U.S. laws, not so familiar with Colombia or anywhere else, or the guarantees for any sort of health procedure. I mean, worst case scenario, you don't come home. Best case scenario, you have cheap dental work. So
or cheap cosmetic.
Exactly, any type of surgery.
Yeah,
but it's always a risk in multiple forums, in your health, in your payment of money to another country that you're unfamiliar with their entire banking systems and how that works. It seems very complicated.
Very complicated. And I don't know if you remember, recently, a group of women went to Mexico. One of them went to have some cosmetic procedure, and it was dangerous there.
Yeah.
And one of them ended up not coming home.
Exactly. At the end of the day, he has the teeth.
At the end of the day, he has
She has the
teeth.
credit card bill.
Now, at least she's repaid. And I understand why some people, with the cost of medical cosmetic work here in the United States, would feel compelled to look somewhere to get it done cheaper. And, you know, most people who have any kind of cosmetic work done, whether it be dental or otherwise, interview the doctor or dentist before, have consultations. There you're just going and saying, here I am,
it's
fix
risky.
me. And I think that that's a very risky thing to do, although his teeth look terrific. Now you're served with a restraining order by your mother.
Yes.
And in retaliation for that, she slashed your tires.
Right. She admitted to carrying the knife, Your Honor.
I can't ask her whether or not she slashed your tires. She's going to say no, right?
Yes.
She's going to get caught eventually. Right now, she's been clever, but she's not that clever.
This is Judy Justice. Jasmine Brandley is suing her future stepdaughter, Nyaria Williams, for defamation and the cost of 3 tires.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3084, Brandley versus Williams.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Brantley, you are in a relationship with the defendant's mother.
That is correct.
For how long?
Over a year now.
I assume that when you met the defendant's mother, the defendant was living with her mom.
That's correct, Your Honor.
It is your claim that at some point the defendant and you developed an acrimonious relationship, and that as a result of that, she was asked to leave the home, and in retaliation for that, she slashed your tires.
She was never asked to leave the home. She voluntarily decided she was going to leave the home.
Let's say that that's a given, but it is your claim that as a result of leaving the home, and there's no question she left the home because you were there.
We weren't sure exactly what the reason was. She didn't make a reason as to why she was leaving the home.
She left, and it is your claim that after she left, she slashed 3 of your tires.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Williams says she did not slash your tires, but that she still has property in the house that she shared with her mother before the 2 of you were in a relationship. Do you live together now?
Yes, ma'am.
When did the 2 of you move in together?
I moved into the home, I want to say the exact time frame was around April of 2023.
And when did you move out of the home, Ms. Williams?
I moved out June 28th of 2023.
So a couple of months later.
Yes.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding your leaving the home.
My mother texted me and said her girlfriend was feeling uncomfortable and she wanted to focus on her and her relationship, and I needed to go and focus on myself.
You have that email. I'd like to see it. Kevin.
Okay, so he's right there.
So you had this discussion with your mother, and what I'm gathering is that you and the plaintiff started to have some nasty texts back and forth.
There was no back and forth, Your Honor. She was just texting me nasty
And you
texts.
have those texts?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
And she also had
your
other people
response
texting
to
me.
your mother is that bum paying bills?
Yes.
Okay. And then your mother tells you right now, time for you to go.
Yes.
And then you say, okay, I just want to grab my TV and bear.
Yeah, I want to at least grab that for tonight, and then I would have came back and got the
Just a
rest
second,
of
well, that's what I need. Need to unlock the door so I can grab my TV and bear. I assume that's a teddy bear, not an animal?
No, it's a bear.
Okay, let's see the text.
And I never responded to these texts, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
These are just phone messages. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. She put my number on social media, and people were texting me asking for sexual favors.
Just a second.
No problem, Your
You'll
Honor.
get there.
I apologize.
You'll get there.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
so you moved out.
Yes.
Now tell me about the tires.
She was moving out, had her things. We know she carries a knife. She's always showing it and bragging
Just a
about
second.
it.
She acknowledges she came back to the house with a knife. She acknowledges that. Is that correct?
Yes.
What kind of a knife?
It's a small pocket knife.
Show me. This I don't understand.
Yeah,
I
my
want
bad.
you to show me. Is it this size
this
when it's
big.
opened? So
Yes.
it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, just a little bit bigger than that.
It's a little.
Just a small one that you can fit in your pocket, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty big knife. Okay, so you came back to get your things, and you had the knife with you.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So we did not confront her while she was getting her things. We looked out the window. We could see her carrying the bags as she was dragging them down the walkway past the apartment building. That was maybe about 1 a.m. We woke up for work, I say maybe around 6:45 time frame. We go outside. The driver's side tire was completely flattened, and the left side passenger front and the rear passenger side tire, they both had tire slashes in them, and we had to get them all 3 replaced. They were unrepairable due to the puncture in those tires, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I have pictures and documentation for that as well.
The issue is not whether your tires were punctured, but whether you have proof that the defendant did it. The tires were fine when you went to sleep.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the defendant came after midnight,
Yes, ma'am.
collected her things in suitcases.
Mostly like bags, not really suitcases.
How did you get into the house that night? Almost not an answer. Did you have a key?
Yes.
Okay. And nobody had changed the locks.
They changed it the next day.
Nobody
made
had
it.
changed the locks on you then.
Then, no.
So you were able to come and get things.
Yes.
So now you have to give me proof that she slashed your tires. You can imagine that she did, but what evidence do you have that she slashed your tires?
Your Honor, no one knows, other than the family, that I was living with them at the time in that area. I have no outstanding confrontational beef. I don't have any problems with anyone in the
anybody
neighborhood.
else?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
That's circumstantial, but insufficient in the law that she's the only one that you had a beef with, the fact that she was there. It's not enough evidence for any court, even a court where the quantum of proof is little, that she did in fact slash your tires. The evidence that you have is that you don't have a beef with anybody else. correct?
I don't have any. I didn't have any
And
negative
you
situation.
couldn't think of anybody else who would want to do that, and she was there in the vicinity that night.
Within the time frame, yes, ma'am, Your Honor. She left maybe around 1 o'clock. By 6 in the morning, the tires were slashed.
Well, you weren't out at 1 o'clock in the morning. You went to sleep at what time?
Maybe around 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m.
And then you got up at 6?
Yes, ma'am.
But you hadn't been outside. When did you park the car?
I'm not sure of the exact time, Your Honor.
Was it before dinner or after dinner?
Probably before dinner.
And you have dinner at what time?
More than likely, maybe around 10:45 p.m.
10:45?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so your car was parked before 10 o'clock, and the next time you saw it was 6 in the morning. Okay, well, that's a big window. I can't ask her whether or not she slashed your tires. She's going to say no, right?
Jasmine Brandley is suing her future stepdaughter, Nairia Williams, for defamation and the cost of 3 tires. Nairia is countersuing Jasmine for her belongings and lost wages.
I can't ask her whether or not she slashed your tires. She's going to say no, right?
Even if you look at the tires, you can tell the 3, only 1 is flat. If they all got slashed at the same time, they all would be flat.
If it's
But
1 or 3. That's not the point.
I did not know.
She told others that she did admit to it.
I did not.
Oh, just a second. Who did she admit it to?
Her coworkers, also.
Oh, no.
friends.
Do you have a coworker here? All I need is a witness.
My witness can confirm.
That she admitted it to them?
To other coworkers as well. They work at the same location, Your Honor.
Did your witness, did she admit to slashing the tires to your witness?
She's admitted to both me and my witness that she would do harm to us and to me.
Is this your witness?
Yes, ma'am. This is my fiance.
Your last name is?
Williams.
Miss Williams, this is your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
You work at the same place?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did your daughter admit to you anything about the tire incident?
No.
Okay, sit down. Do you have a police report?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to see the police report.
Yes, ma'am.
Did the police interview any witnesses?
No, ma'am. They said I had to file domestic violence restraining order, which I did.
Was that granted?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
I'd like to see that, too.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, you got a temporary restraining order you got on your own. She wasn't present when you first got it.
Correct.
Did you go back for a final hearing?
She never appeared.
So the answer is you went back.
3 times, Your Honor.
And she didn't appear?
She never appeared.
So it was granted on default?
Yes, ma'am.
I never received anything about going to court. The only paperwork they gave me was about the tires. They never presented me with anything.
What I have to tell you is this. Currently, there is a restraining order, that's what she says, against you. And if what you're telling me is you were not properly served, I would move to vacate that order because you're at risk if you don't. I don't actually believe that you weren't notified to come to court on 3 separate occasions. I think that you just decided to be a smart aleck and not go.
I really didn't know.
Really?
I knew my mother had one against me because the cop did mention that when he dropped the paper off.
When your mother filed a restraining order against you, then there was a return date. Did you go to court?
No.
Is not an answer.
Oh,
Did you go to court? Now you're served with a restraining order by your mother, and you got a date. You ignored it.
No, they pushed it back. I didn't get a new court date. That's what I'm saying.
But did you ever go?
Because I had moved.
Just a second. Did you go to the first one?
No.
No, you didn't. You ignored it.
I didn't know about them.
No, you said you knew about the first one. You didn't know
and
about.
then it got moved. I
Just a
wasn't able to
second.
get to it.
You knew about the first one.
Yes.
Yes, and you didn't go.
Yes, it got moved.
Right. No, had nothing to do with moving. If you knew about the first one, you knew you were supposed to be there the first date. You didn't go, and they adjourned it for another date to give you another opportunity to come. And then you said you moved. Then you say you didn't get the second date. Well, but you got the first date and you ignored it.
The date got moved. That's what I'm saying.
No, courts don't get moved up. They get pushed ahead, not moved up. They get pushed ahead if somebody doesn't appear. That would have been you. Didn't appear the first time. Are you trying to confuse me?
No,
because I'm old?
No, I would never want to do that.
So far, there are 2 protective orders. So your mother has one against you, too.
That's what the cop said, yes.
Your mother has one against you also.
Yeah, that's what the cop said.
Do you have a protective order?
So that's why I don't know what's going on all the way.
Miss Williams, did you file for a protective order against your daughter?
No.
You never did?
No, only my fiance did. I never did.
Oh, okay, fine. Now you can sit down. So the answer is, Miss Williams, your mother never filed for a protective order against you. Okay. Only the plaintiff.
All right.
Okay. So far, we don't have a confession, right?
We had the threats that were made, Your Honor.
To do you harm. That's
what she tried to do.
Okay. Ms. Brantley?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not sufficient. I'm telling you, in all probability, Miss Williams, who's a little bit of a wise guy, did in fact slash your tires when she came to get her things. All probability that happened, but there's no evidence.
She admitted to carrying the knife, Your Honor.
Yes, I know. She told me. I saw it. She took a knife with her. It's not enough evidence to connect her to doing the damage to your car.
What about the credible threats, Your Honor? The threats that she made towards me?
You have a protective order against her, correct? If she violated that protective order, you go back to court and you file a violation of the order of protection. And if they find that that's true, she's going to go to jail for contempt of the order. That's your remedy. You have a protective order that lasts until when?
Right now, Your Honor, we're attempting to locate her. She's not responding to the summons officer's calls or texts.
I have not received
no calls. You don't know her
or texts.
address.
Don't speak. What does that mean? Do you currently have a protective order?
It expired temporarily. We could not summon her.
Oh, well, that's...
We don't know where she's located.
Okay.
I went to court 4 different occasions, and she wouldn't appear. They could not locate her. And she's aware that we're trying to serve her.
Okay. You're suing her for 3 slash tires, which I can't find in good conscience that she did, even though probably in the back of my mind that I know that she did because there's insufficient proof. And the other cause of action is for defamation.
Correct.
What's the defamation?
She posted my cell number to social media requesting sexual favors. I was receiving calls and texts.
Just a second.
At all hours of the night.
Just a second. Can I see what it was that you're alleging someone posted?
Yes.
May I see it?
And you already have the page that has all the different text messages that were coming from the number. And all these numbers...
Just a second. Just a second. Oh. That text message that you're referring to came from this phone number that's on here?
Yes, ma'am. If you look at all the messages on that one page, Your Honor, they were all from the Chicago area, the same area that is her zip code for her phone.
My mom's zip code, too.
So this is not her phone number that created this text message?
So that is a screenshot that someone sent me of my number being posted on social media.
I understand that.
Yes.
And you have to connect her with that.
They're all coming from the same area code as hers, Your Honor. I don't know anyone else with the area code in that location. I'm not from the Chicago area. And if you look at that one page of evidence, I received over 10, 15, 20 different contacts, all from the Chicago area, asking for sexual favors.
That's, again, probably true. Either she or someone at her behest. But you understand, there's no proof that it came from her number, that it came from Chicago, that the numbers were the same area code. The area code is in Chicago? Is that what you're
Chicago
telling me?
area, that is correct.
Chicago area. Well, that's a very big area, madam.
I've never received any calls or texts from that area code ever before until the incident. At all hours of the night, Your Honor. I'm not a sex worker, in all respect.
Jasmine Brantley is accusing her future stepdaughter, Nyaria Williams, of defamation and slashing her tires. Nyaria is countersuing Jasmine for her belongings and lost wages.
She's going to get caught eventually. Right now, she's been clever.
She needs to be
but
held
she's
accountable,
not
Your Honor.
that clever. So right now, she's going to get caught. Miss Williams?
Yes.
You submitted paperwork to the court when you came here. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you have any proof that the plaintiff ever threatened you?
I'm sorry.
Proof?
That's right. Is not an answer.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't
Just
find
a
it.
second. So you have no proof that the plaintiff ever threatened you?
Correct.
Other than the fact that your mother told you it's time for you to go, other than that, did your mother ever threaten you? That you can prove. That's either a yes or a no.
No.
I want your address now. Now.
Okay.
Where?
Jacksonville, Florida. I'm still in Florida.
We will verify that with the clerk who took her papers, and we're going to give you that address. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you have her address. So if you want to file for a protective order, you know where to serve her. And
Thank you.
if she's evading service, you can get substituted service, what they call nail and mail. You mail it to her at her address, which she's given you, and you have a marshal tack it on to her front door, and then she's been served. Got it?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. What about the tires, Your Honor?
I explained to you, you don't have sufficient proof that she slashed your tires. Probably did, but you have no proof. The fact that she threatened to do you harm, the fact that she was there within that period between 10 p.m. when you had dinner and 6 a.m. when you saw the cars is a wide window. She probably did it, But you need proof that she did it, and you don't have it. And you don't have anybody to whom she confessed. You could have brought somebody, if you say she did actually confess to a coworker, you could have brought that witness, but you didn't. You chose to bring a witness who really couldn't contribute to your case. Do you understand? I'm just telling you, with a confession, and you had the tires, and she had the opportunity, and she had the mechanism, but you need something other than that. That's
the threats weren't a confession, Your Honor?
No. Okay. Now, you're counterclaiming for illegal lockout. Forget it. Your mother told you to leave. Money owed for belongings taken without permission. What belongings?
I had 2 bags of clothes still there.
You had 2 bags of clothes?
Yes, I had 2 big bags.
Just a second. And?
2 big bags of clothes. I had my shoes there, my work shoes as well. Okay. And then I had this big mattress I left as well. It was an air mattress.
And?
That's about everything.
How did the plaintiff prevent you from getting that?
Because when I contacted them about getting my clothes...
Not them. How did the plaintiff prevent you from getting that stuff?
They changed the lock.
Not they. It's not...
Jasmine and Rika changed the locks, and I could not come and get my clothes.
Not they. You have to have proof that the plaintiff, you see, it works 2 ways.
Yeah.
You have to have proof that the plaintiff did something to prevent you getting your stuff. You went there to get stuff. Mm-hmm. You went there to get stuff on the night that her tires were slashed, and you were dragging out bags of stuff.
Not bags. I only had a couple items.
You had a couple of items just a second, that you came back to get at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I need to get dressed for work.
Miss Williams, your counterclaim is dismissed. Okay. Now you have her address. If you feel as if you still require a protective order, get it. If you had proof that she posted this, I'd give you a lot more than you were asking for in your complaint. But you need proof that she posted that, other than the fact that the number comes from Chicago.
I receive at least 10, 15, 20 different attempts to be reached out to me requesting sexual favors from the same area code.
I said if you can prove that she posted this, I understand the consequence.
A witness can confirm.
She also texted me that night. I have text message from her that night that she slashed the tires.
That says what? That was the night she came by at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, she lived there.
So, and if that's an acknowledgement that she slashed your tires, we're in business.
Right.
Let me see. You say to her, so you going to flatten her tire? I hope you know the cops will be called. How did you know she was going to flatten the tire?
Because she had did it. She sent me all these text messages.
No, but nothing. You don't understand, Miss Williams. Nothing in the text messages before talk about a tire.
Right.
Nothing in the text messages talk about a tire. And the last thing that it says here is 3:45 in the morning on June 29th. So you're going to flatten her tire. I hope you know the cops will come. Did she respond to that?
Right. She wouldn't respond to
She doesn't respond to it.
Right. Correct.
Okay. That's all. Your counterclaim is dismissed. You have absolutely no claim against them. I've given you her address. If she continues to harass you and you want to file for a protective order and serve her, I've told you how you can do that. Do you understand?
Yes, Your
Great.
Honor.
Thank you very much. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
We know that she carries weapons and there was damage done to the vehicle. You can pretty much put the pieces together.
She's a joke, so I figured she was gonna say that. That's what clowns do, so I'm glad she got to do a circus act.
The word on the street that she did it.
I told her girlfriend she ain't paying no bills. So I told the bum to get some money, and I guess they didn't like that.
At one point, I thought that we could all be a happy family, but it's clearly not what she wants, and I do feel bad.
You ain't gonna get me to admit to that one.
You know, sometimes I wish we had even lower standards of proof than we do, because to you, to me, I'm pretty sure if we polled the audience, everybody out there would say the defendant definitely slashed those tires and probably posted the phone number of her mother's girlfriend online, insinuating that she would be open and willing to engage in sexual favors for strangers. But there is a standard of proof that they have to meet. And I was just waiting for the crumb of proof that we could hang our hat on for both issues.
Just opportunity and inclination doesn't allow a court to, in good conscience, find that she committed a crime. And both of those things would be criminal behavior.
Just with her attitude, I knew.
Her attitude.
I just, I wanted to prove and have that right little crumb to hang the hat on. But unfortunately,
eventually, people with that kind of attitude
always get caught.
Always either get caught or get comeuppance.
Oh yeah.
Is suing club promoter Herman Patine for a refund on concert tickets.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2184, Garcia versus Pantene.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ms. Garcia, it is your claim that you purchased some concert tickets through the defendant. You paid him for them.
Correct.
And you didn't get them.
Correct.
He has some story about you going on the wrong day. Okay. How do you know him?
Through a mutual friend.
How long do you know him?
Since September, when this mutual friend actually introduced us, and we engage in this kind of concert ticket purchase.
No, you're getting ahead of yourself. You met him through a mutual friend. How?
We went out to a club.
Who went out to a club?
Two of my girlfriends and LP.
Went with him?
Yes.
Well, then one of your girlfriends knew him. You had not met him before?
No.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm an artist.
What kind of an artist?
Produce and sing.
You do that for a living for how long?
For 12 years.
You have family?
No, I'm by myself, yeah.
Who do you live with?
By myself and my dog.
Yourself and your dog?
Yeah, my dog, yeah.
What kind of a dog do you
have? I have a Jack Russell.
Okay. What do you know about securing tickets for concerts, music events? What do you know about it?
What do you mean by that? I don't understand
well,
the question.
I know that if you're in the music business, let's say you want to go to a concert.
Okay.
You personally want to go to a concert with a friend.
Yeah.
How do you get the tickets?
It depends. You either purchase the ticket online if you want to pay the full price, or sometimes people have deal for ticket because they have in and you get the ticket like that and it's cheaper.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell me, Ms. Garcia, exactly how you contacted the defendant and told him that you wanted concert tickets and what you wanted concert tickets to.
So I text LP and I asked him, hey, I heard that you had concert tickets. And he said he did. He's like, oh, I have 2 concert tickets.
2 concert tickets for what?
For the Bad Bunny concert for October 1st.
When I read your complaint and answer, I didn't know who Bad Bunny was. So I looked it up and was actually astounded to find out that he is a very uber popular rapper.
So we were very, very excited.
Okay. Did you tell the defendant what you wanted the tickets for?
Yes, I told him I was going to celebrate my birthday, and it was also going to be a gift to my sister, and then my girlfriend, whose also birthday is in October.
And so when is your birthday?
October 8th.
And did you tell him what date you wanted the tickets for?
He indicated that he had tickets for October 1st.
And he had 2 tickets for October 1st.
He at first had 2 tickets, and then later on said, oh, I have more tickets. And that's how I acquired 2 additional tickets.
Okay, so first he said he had 2 tickets for October 1st. Now, when she called you, you said, oh, I have 2 tickets. That's what she says.
Okay.
I have 2 tickets. Where did you get those 2 tickets from?
From someone who's close to the artist.
Give me the name.
Oh, his name is Clint.
Last name?
I don't know. I only see him in the club. I get tickets from him all the time.
Clint from what club?
He promotes everywhere. Like he goes.
No, you said to me you got them from him at a club. I'm asking you what club.
Well,
Your Honor,
the name.
Actually, he had indicated that those were boxy tickets, and it was the owner of the boxy tickets that he was acquiring those tickets from.
I never said that.
The 2 tickets?
Oh, no,
yes.
I never said
the
that.
2?
Yes.
I never said that. No.
I want you to tell me, when she called you, how come you had 2 tickets for the concert that she wanted to go to? Were you going to go yourself?
The truth is, I always go to stuff like that because I have access to those tickets. Again, even if it's for sport or basketball, I always have access to those type of tickets.
So you have access to them?
Yes.
But she said that you told her you had 2 tickets.
When I say access, if I request it, I know where to find it. So when her friend told me that, I said, yes, I can have access to those type of tickets. So maybe my language doesn't help with my grammar.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, so
that's
yes,
true. Maybe,
sorry for that.
maybe it's problematic. It could be a little bit of my hearing, but it's also a little bit of your accent.
Yes, I have an accent.
Sometimes people don't understand my accent because I was born in Brooklyn, and they say to me, "What? We don't understand you." I understand that, but you understand that sometimes people could not.
If they misunderstand.
Right.
That's true.
Okay. But she told you she wanted the tickets for October 1st. There's no question she wanted to go on October 1st because she says in her complaint that she also booked a hotel room. Mm-hmm. What hotel?
It was a Sheraton.
Where is the Sheraton located?
It's by LAX.
Where do you live?
Norwalk.
Norwalk is where?
Approximately 15 miles east of LAX off the 105.
Okay, so you wanted to stay over for the concert?
Yes. So just one correction, that my cousin was the one that paid for the stay.
And the hotel was taken for one night, and was that the night of October 1st?
Yes.
For October 1st, the night of the concert.
Mm-hmm. So all the girls were going to get together that night, have a little pre-celebration. We were going to Uber to the concert. We didn't want to drink and drive. So when we got to the concert, we would get another Uber and then come back. We just want to be safe.
When did Mr. Patine tell you that he got extra tickets? First, he said he had two.
Mm-hmm. And
did he tell you how much the two tickets were?
Yes, he indicated $150 each ticket. Mm-hmm.
How much did you pay for them, sir?
Basically, give the.
Not basically.
Huh?
Not
no,
basically.
Sorry,
how much? There's this question.
It was $150.
So you are telling me that you didn't make any money?
No, because I was friend with her friend. So I was just trying to be nice for her birthday. So no, I wasn't making any money on that. I will charge more for those tickets if I want to make money. For the price of it, I will pay way more than that.
Well, so far. Then you got 4 more tickets.
Correct.
But you never saw the tickets.
Correct.
Okay.
Flames club promoter Herman Patine owes her a refund for Bad Bunny concert tickets.
Did you ask the defendant to send you a copy of the tickets?
I did on September
Just a sec.
16th.
On what date?
September 16th.
Do you have an email to that effect?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
And just so you know, there were 2 tour dates in Inglewood at the SoFi Stadium for Bad Bunny on both September 30th as well as October 1st.
Do you know how much he made, according to what I read yesterday? In his touring for the whole of the year, I read that his tour concert in 2022 was almost $400 million. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's the number
almost
one. It's
$400 million.
Pretty darn close.
That's what I read. I was astounded. Since I know Frank Sinatra is no longer with us, and there isn't anybody else that I would pay that kind of money to go and see. Okay, so you're in the music business and you have email.
Huh?
Is that right? You have an email? You have an email?
Yes, I have an
You
email.
have an iPhone?
Yes.
She asked you if you could send her copies of the tickets.
Okay.
Why didn't you send them?
Because I didn't have it at that time. I always
Oh,
receive
just a
it.
second.
Yes.
Because I didn't have them. That was September 16th. On what date did you get them and from whom?
I paid for the ticket on the Monday before the concert. The guy came to pick up the money on Monday night.
When the guy came to pick up the money Monday night before the event, did he give you the tickets?
Not right away, because he never do that. He always send me that after to my wallet on the...
Now I don't understand a word you're saying.
The wallet, when I received the ticket...
You
after
gave
that,
him the money. She sent you the money. How much money did she give you?
I was like 1,000.
Seven. How much money did you give him?
So the full amount was $1,215.
That's not how much she gave me, by the way.
No.
Just a minute. She's only suing for $715.
Yeah, so there were 2 other young ladies that also purchased, and I'm not including them in my case.
So this
just
is
mine, just what I paid.
You paid $715.
Correct.
He got more money for the tickets, but you just paid him $715.
Yeah. So these were for 6 tickets. 5 tickets for $150, 1 ticket for $165.
Okay. How did you communicate with the one person who you gave the tickets to? How did you communicate with that person?
Phone. I call him.
Through the phone?
Yeah, I call him. He call me.
So you have his name on your phone?
Yes.
Have you seen him since October?
He disappeared for a while. After that.
Just a second. He disappeared for a while after you say that you gave him the money.
I was in contact with them and her friend. I give her the number because I couldn't reach out to him. And
Second, that sounds like a lot of who shot John. You were able to reach out to him when you wanted to give him money, allegedly, but then he disappeared.
Basically,
just a second, is he still disappeared?
No, he's still not disappeared. But
well, where is he now?
I don't know. I haven't spoken with him.
Since when?
Since maybe like December.
Why?
Because I have nothing to tell him. She sued me. So
well, just a second.
Yeah.
What did you tell him about the tickets?
He said we made a mistake on the day. It was for Friday, and they went to for Saturday. So on that, he got mixed up, and I get blamed for that. That's not fair.
Absolutely. She didn't deal with Clint. She dealt with you.
But this is why I give them the number, so they can call him directly. I did that.
But the deal was not with him. It was with you.
You don't have to answer.
Sorry.
But
you don't have to answer.
Actually, they talked to him directly.
She doesn't want to talk to him directly. She didn't deal with...
I wasn't even talking to her.
She didn't deal...
I wasn't talking to her. Her friend was talking to him directly. That's what I said.
Did she get money back from him directly?
I didn't get any money.
Just a second.
No, I'm mad. I'm being blamed for something I do. And even that, I give some half of the money back to her because I feel bad about the situation.
Just a second. When did you give her back half the money?
I think 2 weeks after.
Just a second. Did he give you back any money?
He gave us $500 out of 8.
Just a second. I don't care. He gave you back $500 because he felt badly.
And it was her birthday, and they were harassing me.
Did you give her the $500 directly?
No, because I wasn't.
No. Who did you give the $500?
To her friend, because I wasn't talking to her.
To a friend?
To her friend, because I wasn't talking to her.
Just a second. Your friend only, you said, paid for 2 tickets. Mm-hmm. Well, 2 tickets at most could have been $300.
Correct.
Did your friend give you back $200?
She did.
Okay.
So I am requesting the remainder, which is $715. And that's what we had texted him on October 10th. We had asked him to pay the full amount. This is the text where...
I want to see what he said to you.
No, he did not respond to me.
He did not?
Mm-mm.
Can I tell why?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because her friend was starting threatening me, sending crazy message texts when we used to be friends, and it could be resolved another way. And when you start sending me lawyer crazy email, I'm not answering. So I say, do what you got to do, and that's it.
I mean, if you would have responded.
Just a second. So if there was a mix-up, that was a mix-up that was not her mix-up because she clearly made it her business to book a room in order to go to the October 1st concert. So that was clear. It wasn't just going to the concert. It was going to be a whole evening. What do you want, and who are you?
I'm a witness to it all.
And he speaks better than me, so this is why I would like him to come, so that it might be easier for me.
Your Honor, my name's Imad. How are you? She said she booked a hotel for the 1st, but they were in LA partying with us on the 2nd because we all met up at his house. We all drank, we partied, we went to a club. He felt bad for him and got a bottle service, and I have on video.
No, he didn't.
Just
he
a
got
second.
Bottle
Just a second.
But it wasn't from him.
I have on video.
I have on video because that's what we do.
Feel bad.
Yeah, but that wasn't part of the deal.
Don't speak.
Sorry.
We have on video of them all partying with us on the 2nd. So they only.
So on the 2nd, by this time you knew you weren't going to the concert.
Yeah, I was expecting my money that night.
What?
I was expecting my money. Like, there was a mix-up. Okay, now where's our money? So we met up. They told me, hey, you know what? LP feels really bad. There was a mistake. I'm like, okay, cool. But where's my money? Because I got to pay my cousin, my sister. I got to pay my friends. I have that responsibility. They entrusted me with money, and therefore I had that responsibility. They're not going to come after him.
Okay.
Gigi Garcia is accusing club promoter Herman Petit of purchasing Bad Bunny concert tickets for the wrong day.
Where is Clint? Speak. Where is Clint? I thought you were a witness to everything.
I met him when he was giving him the money. We were at his house
Just a
having
second.
drinks.
Okay, so let's slow down a second, because you said I'm a witness to everything and I speak better than he does.
Yeah, sometimes.
So the Monday before the concert.
Correct.
You were with Clint.
I was with LP. I was with him. We were at his apartment watching Monday Night Football.
And Clint was there.
No, he called him, and then he asked me to come down with him. We went downstairs, and I never met the guy, and he gave him some money.
No, just a second.
Yeah.
So you were with him.
Yeah.
When he went downstairs and met Clint.
Correct.
Okay. And when he handed Clint the money, how much money did he hand him?
I couldn't tell you because I wasn't
that close.
Really, I was next to him, but I was on my phone, and I asked him after the fact. I was like,
what did he... Let's go back. So now you're upstairs watching Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
And does he get a call from Clint or does he call Clint?
He was calling him earlier.
Okay, so he was calling Clint earlier.
Yeah.
And when he went down and gave him the money, did Clint give him anything?
No, he didn't.
Well, then what was the discussion that he had?
From what I heard was he...
Don't make it up as you're going along.
No.
Don't make it up. It's very bad. It's very bad if you make things up.
No. There's no
Okay,
making
so
up.
if you
He
either
gave
you
him the
heard it
money.
or you didn't.
He gave him the money, and I guess it was for the tickets, because he was telling me earlier that he was getting somebody's tickets. And I'm like, I've never met her before or her friends until the night of when we all went to the club, because I was at his house. Yeah. We were drinking, her friends came over and everything that was supposed to
And it was at that time, was that the time that he gave them back $500?
No, I don't know about that.
When did you give them back $500?
I think 2 weeks after, I can check if you want to tell you the exact date. But I think 2 weeks after, and again, I did that out of my kindness. I don't want to give anything because that's not my fault. But I'm like, I feel bad. They were on me. I'm like, you know what? Here's something. He's a jester. That's what I can do. And even that, I was even willing to work with them. And I told her.
Yeah, I don't think it was their mistake, by the way.
Huh?
I don't think it was their mistake. They were girls going out to celebrate. They had planned a whole evening and day of going out to celebrate. They got to the concert. You weren't there on the first, because it's your claim that they got the date confused, that they were supposed to go Friday night, the 30th. That's what you say. You were there Friday night.
We're there.
Well, if the tickets were for Friday night, sir, which is what you claim, and you say you went there on Friday night.
Went where?
To the concert, to give them the tickets.
No, you get confused on that. I wasn't going to the concert.
No, to give them the tickets. How are they supposed to get the tickets?
How do I know that? I have other stuff to do.
Just a second. How are they supposed to... Hey, stop. I'm going to use him as a translator.
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
No. You hadn't sent them the tickets on the day of the concert. According to your answer, sir, on the day of the concert, which was on September 30th, which would have been what was on the tickets, I waited for Gigi and her friends, but they never showed up. Pay attention to me. So if you went there on Friday to give them the tickets, that's what you say.
I'm talking about my house. Sure,
I'm reading to you what you swore to and what you signed in an answer. You say you're in a business for 12 years.
But I don't have people work for me.
Listen to me. Then you should have shown them your answer. What you said in your answer was...
Okay, my bad. Mistake for that.
Not my bad. On the day of the concert, I waited for Gigi and her friends to come and get their tickets, but they never showed up. The next day, I finally got on the phone with Gigi. Now, did she call you or did you call her?
I called her friend in the morning at like maybe 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. There's a mistake. I called her friend.
Okay, so you called her friend. Now, if you got there and they weren't there, you had her friend's. You had her friend's number, right?
It's not that.
You said I have.
It's not. That's not what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is, I just read you what you.
No, but I try to explain you. I wasn't at the concert, even on the Saturday, for the ticket.
How was she supposed to get the tickets?
She come to my house, and that's it.
Okay, $715, judgment for the plaintiff. I think you're full of baloney.
This court is adjourned.
I thought that was really fair. I mean, when you enter a verbal contract with someone, you expect them to uphold their side of the deal. If they don't, then they have to give you your money back.
That's her problem, not mine. And I give something just out of my kindness. She should just take that. Asia wasn't the bad person on that.
That same night, he had indicated that he felt really bad, yada, yada, yada. And we thought, hey, it's legit. We're going to get our money back that night. And he's like, oh, let's meet up at this club or this. It was a restaurant, then club. And it was.
I wouldn't be partying with somebody that just screwed me out of tickets.
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense. It's like if somebody screws you out of money, you going to go party with them? Highly doubtful.
It doesn't matter. That wasn't part of the deal. The deal was concert tickets for this amount of money. No concert tickets, I get my money back. Plain and simple.
Yes, over. For a favor for friends, yeah.
So we're having this discussion, you and I interpreted that sentence as he waited for them at the concert to give them the tickets. You point out that that sentence could also be interpreted, I waited at my house for them to come and pick up the tickets. Either way, Sarah, the right thing to do is if you've got $1,000 of somebody's money, because there's no question that this guy took a vig for himself, And if they don't come, and if your friend is a friend of hers, then you call at 5 o'clock at night and say, I have your tickets here. Yeah. Where are you? He doesn't. The next day, he calls his friend and says, you got the dates mixed up. Yeah. Instead of calling at 4 o'clock. So either way, to me, it doesn't make any difference.
I agree with your final ruling. If he was sitting on the $1,000 that he had and tickets that he knew were for the wrong day, the friend deserved to call that day in the morning.
Or maybe he didn't have any.
Or maybe he didn't have any tickets. I'm not disagreeing. I just think that one point you hung your hat on about either being at the concert or being at home was sort of a minuscule point if he didn't have the tickets at all.
Yeah, and I don't think he had the tickets at all.
I agree.
If he did have the tickets, one way or another, he would have called their mutual friend and said, I have these tickets here. They're $1,000. They're $1,000 worth of tickets. It's a good excuse to say they wanted to come for them on a wrong date. Yeah.
Is suing his former friend, Tony Woods, for car damages after a night of drinking and driving.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2018, Gray versus Woods.
Thanks, Kevin. You're welcome. Everybody sober today? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes.
You?
Yes, I'm sober.
Yes?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Everybody. Okay, good. You two gentlemen know each other. You went out for an evening. I assume there was some drinking, and your car got totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant was driving your car when it got totaled.
Yes.
The defendant says he was drinking a little bit, but he says that you don't remember because you were so blotto that you were driving. Right?
Yes.
So that's what the case is about. Simple. Two drunks, nobody knows who was driving the car when it got totaled. Let's see if we can decipher it. If we can't, I may not care. Because you're not supposed to be in a car when you're drunk. Otherwise, you can kill a lot of people, as we all know. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Want to drive drunk and kill yourself, that's one thing. Right? You take a lot of other people down, and sometimes you make it out. So you have to be understanding to the fact that the judicial system really doesn't give a rat's behind if the two of you were drunk and in a car, and neither one of you was together enough to know who was driving the car. Yeah. When did this incident happen?
It was November 27th, 2021.
How long have you known Mr. Woods, Mr. Gray?
I've known Mr. Woods about 20 years, I would say.
So you've known him since you were kids?
Yeah, since high school.
And you have gone out frequently?
Yes.
Does he come to your house?
Yes.
You go to his house?
Occasionally, yes.
Occasionally. And where were you going on the 27th of November?
We were going downtown Ann Arbor to attend some festivities from the Michigan versus Ohio State football game.
To a football event?
Yeah.
How did Mr. Woods get downtown?
Well, Your Honor, I got dropped off.
By whom?
My friend.
Friend's name?
Lauren.
And where did she drop you off?
She dropped me off in front of the Starbucks downtown where they were waiting because they were drunk. I didn't drink.
Just a second. Lauren dropped you off at Starbucks. Where were you supposed to go from Starbucks?
We were supposed to go to a club and hang out after the game.
So you first went to the game?
No, they went downtown right after the game, and I came to meet up to hang out.
So it was all after the game?
Yes.
What time did Lauren drop Mr. Woods off at Starbucks?
I would say it was around like 3, 4 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
I believe so.
What time did Lauren drop you off?
It had to be about 5:30, 6 o'clock.
And when you say it had to be 5:30 or 6 o'clock, how do you know that?
Because the game was over.
I don't know. I don't watch football, so I don't know when it starts and when it finished. Do you remember what time the game finished?
No, I don't remember exactly.
Okay, so let's say Lauren dropped you off at 5:30. How did you set the time for Mr. Woods to meet you so that he could join your party? The game is over different times. Did you text him? Did he call you?
So on the way, we had left from my barbershop, me and my witness here, Mo Chop.
So you weren't at the game, you were in a barbershop?
Yeah, we were at the barbershop at first. We watched the game.
Oh, you watched, so you didn't go to the game?
We didn't attend the actual game, no.
Okay.
We watched the game at the
How many people, you, Mohammed, and who else watched the game at the barbershop?
I mean, the barbershop was full of, we were still working at the time. We had left work after the game was over to go downtown to...
Were you watching the game or were you working?
I was doing both.
I would have hated to be your last haircut.
No, actually, it wasn't a lot of people there because that was the biggest game of Michigan's season, the last game, Ohio State. It's a big rivalry, so nobody was at our barbershop.
So
really.
it was just party. It was.
It was just party.
You know, I'm old,
Yeah.
so you know, it was just party. You said Mohammed.
It was a party.
It was just party. Okay. So you left the barbershop, but how did you find out to meet them at the Starbucks?
We have been communicating through text.
So you knew what time they were leaving the barbershop, and then you got dropped off. Now, what were you doing with Lauren?
I was waiting to get to them.
Where were you before?
I was at home. I watched the game at home.
With Lauren?
No, with myself.
Well, how'd you get Lauren to take you to Starbucks?
Oh, I just asked her and gave her some gas money.
Okay, so now you're at Starbucks, you meet up, and who's driving?
I was driving.
Okay, and that would have been a mistake.
Excuse me?
That would have been a mistake. I wouldn't get behind the wheel of a car, sir, if I was at a party all afternoon watching a big football game.
Ma'am, I wasn't at a party. I was at my barbershop.
I know you were at your barbershop.
Yeah.
Look at Mohammed. I know you were at your barbershop, sir.
There had been any drinking going on at that time.
There was no drinking in the barbershop, Mohammed?
Oh. There was people participating. Some people weren't. Some people were. I wasn't. I wasn't participating.
All righty. Okay. So now you go from this party in the barbershop all afternoon from this very big game, and you pick him up, and where were you going?
At that point, we decided to go to a bar.
Where was the bar?
I'm not familiar with downtown Ann Arbor area, but like it was a bar that was suggested by.
Stand up next to him. He's not familiar with a whole lot of things. You suggested a particular bar, Mohammed?
Yeah,
How far is that from the Starbucks where he was dropped off?
about a couple blocks over.
Okay, and you were in the car?
I was in the car.
Were you sitting in the front or the back when you picked up Mr. Woods?
I was sitting in the passenger seat at this point.
So Mr. Woods got in the back?
Yes, he did.
And you were going a couple of blocks to the bar?
Yeah.
Step by step, what happened next?
So traffic is jam-packed down there, so we really just inching to the bar. We get to the bar, we go inside, we have a couple drinks.
Okay, so now it maybe 6 o'clock,
yeah.
6:30?
Yeah, dark outside.
And you have a couple of drinks at the bar?
A couple drinks, yeah.
What were you drinking?
I was drinking water.
That's not a drink that they like to serve at a bar.
I was a designated driver, so after we left the bar.
Okay, so you were the designated driver, and Mr. Gray was drinking?
Yes.
What was he drinking?
I don't remember what his drink is.
You remember what you were drinking?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
I had one beer.
Okay. Even he can't keep a straight face. You know, it's hard. It just, don't speak. Now, you were the designated driver. When were you designated the designated driver?
Well,
think very careful. Before you answer my questions, you know. Okay. I'm already 2 steps ahead of this game. When were you,
I've watched you on TV, yes, I know.
When were you designated the designated driver?
When we left the bar, I was the designated driver.
No. So it was when you left the bar?
Yes.
And who designated you the designated driver?
Well, I kind of designated myself. I'm pretty familiar with the Ann Arbor area. It's actually my idea to go downtown, so.
So you asked Mr. Gray if you could drive?
Yeah, I thought it would be the best idea.
And Mr. Gray said okay?
Yes, he did.
So you drove, and where were you going from the bar?
To another bar.
Better pickings at the other bar?
Just bar hopping, you know, college, downtown, football.
Okay, and what's the name of that bar?
Where did we go from there?
No! Speak, as I look at you. The name of the other bar. Okay, now he helped you with that, right?
Yeah, he jogged my memory a little bit.
He jogged your memory.
Yeah.
So if he knew the bar, why did you have to be the designated driver?
I don't think I understand your question.
It's very easy. You said you were the designated driver because you know that area.
Right. I'm saying I didn't remember what bar we went to. I'm very familiar with the area. I just didn't remember what bar we were going to that night.
Okay. What happened when you got to the second bar?
We had some more drinks and...
we had some more drinks?
Yes.
What was Mr. Gray drinking?
You know, I was talking to some other friends that I met up with there. He was off doing his own thing. I don't remember what he was drinking.
What were you drinking?
Water still at this point. Water. Yeah. I like to stay hydrated.
Claims his former friend, Tony Woods, drove drunk and crashed his car. Tony says Daniel was the one driving drunk and wrecked his own car.
Okay, so now you had a couple of drinks, you had another glass of water.
Yes.
Mr. Gray and Mr. Woods both were drinking alcohol, and what happened next?
We left there, we went to get something to eat.
Where did you go to eat?
We went to, what's the name of that place?
I don't know the name of the place, and he's not going to tell you.
It's a hot dog place. It's right around the corner from where we was drinking.
And then what happened there?
We got something to eat.
Okay, do you remember what time that was?
You know, I really don't.
Well, you've been already to two bars and a
yeah.
place to eat. So, and if you started out at 6 o'clock, it had to be closer to 9 or 10 o'clock.
Right, yeah.
Okay, then what happened?
Came out of the restaurant.
And you remember what you had at the restaurant?
I had some waffle fries.
And do you remember what Mr. Gray ate?
He had a hot dog.
And do you remember what Mr. Woods ate?
He also had a hot dog.
Good. So you came out of the restaurant. Do you remember who paid the bill?
I think we all paid separately.
Okay, so now you come out of the restaurant.
Yeah, we come out the restaurant, we had eaten already. This when Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying a little bit, charged at me from across the street. You know, I tried to get him
Well,
in.
just a second.
Okay.
How did he get across the street?
Well, the restaurant was across the street. We parked across the street from the restaurant.
Okay, I got it.
So I had already got back to the car.
Okay.
And Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying, and he ran across the street and tried tackling me, and he got me around my waist. I tried to put him in a headlock, but you see the size of his head. And that just continued throughout the night, this horseplaying.
No. So he's horseplaying with you.
Right.
But you get into the car. You said if you continued all during the night. What I want to know is, from the place where they got hot dogs and you got waffle fries, did you get back into the car?
We did get back into the car. We went one more place.
Okay. Now, when you got back into the car, after the 2 dogs and the fries, who was driving?
At that point, I think I was still driving.
Not think. I don't want to think.
I believe I was driving. I dropped myself off to my next destination because I separated from them two.
You went to one other place?
Yeah.
With them?
With the 3 of them, yes.
And when you got to the other place, you went in or you did not go in?
I went inside, yeah.
Okay. Did you stay there?
I did stay there.
And what about the 2 of them?
They went wherever they went. Back to the barbershop, I believe.
And you were the designated driver.
Up into the
So you were drinking the water.
Yes.
And they were both drinking alcohol. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. What do you mean, yeah? You go to at least 2 bars, maybe 3. You have a whole afternoon of drinking at a barbershop. Not you, you were drinking water.
Water, yeah. I don't know what.
Then you get dropped off. You was the designated driver. Now they're nowhere near home. So you knew one of them was going to be driving.
Right.
And as far as your testimony is concerned, you were left in the last place that you visited. They went out to go someplace else or go back to the barbershop.
Right.
Did you see them again that evening? Is not an answer. I mean, we're coming to court today. You know, it's not a photo shoot. You came here for testimony.
I don't believe I seen them that night again.
No, I'm just talking about that night. That's what we're talking about, that night. This is the night of the accident, the 27th of November, 2021.
I didn't see them again.
You're in a club. You don't know what happened. Now, when they dropped you off, did you go outside with them or did you just stay in the club?
I stayed inside.
So you don't know anything else?
What happened after that?
Now you can sit.
Thank you.
Okay, now your witness, the designated water drinking driver, has dropped himself off and the 2 of you go outside. What happened?
After he get dropped off, we are parked at a bar and...
Just a second. He stays there. You get into the car because you're going to another bar.
No, not at this point.
Where were you going?
I was getting ready to go to my barbershop.
He's not with you. Who was driving?
I was driving at that.
Okay. And you were driving to take yourself back, according to you, to the barbershop.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Okay, so we get to the barbershop and I leave the car running. He's in the car with me.
Just a sec. Got to the barbershop and you left the car running for what reason?
Because it was cold outside. It was snow. It was, I guess, November.
Well, what were you going to the barbershop for?
I went to the barbershop because I needed to use the restroom.
And the barbershop is close by to this last bar you were at?
Yes.
How close?
Maybe like 2 miles.
Okay, so you went to the barbershop. You left the car running and?
So I go in to use the restroom and I leave the car running and Mr. Woods was sitting in the car still. So as I'm in the restroom, he comes in and starts knocking on the door and says, that he had lost his phone when he had got out the car where we were parked at.
Where?
The last bar that we were at. I didn't actually go into the last bar. We was parked there. We were about to go in to meet up with him.
What do you mean to meet up with him? He was with you.
As he said, he met up with another friend.
He didn't tell me that. He said you just dropped him off at the other bar and you weren't going in, just he was going in. You dropped him off. That's what he said.
No, he went in.
I understand he went in.
All right, I never went in the last bar.
Okay, you didn't go and neither did he.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking you. He said I lost my phone someplace.
No, where we were parked at, he got out the car for a second. I never got out the car. He got out the car for a second. And at
what
some
was he
point
doing when he got out of the car for a second?
He thought we were about to go in, but I told him that I needed to use the restroom. So he got back in the car. But at some point when he got out the car, he dropped his phone. So I told him I needed to use the restroom. So I go to my shop to use the restroom. I park the car.
Got it.
I get out. I leave the car running. I go in, use the restroom. He comes in, knocks on the door, telling me that, hey, yo, I lost my phone. Can I drive the car? Let me go pick it up real quick. And I tell him no. Like, just wait, I'll be out in a second. So he leaves. I hear the door open and close. I'm thinking that he's just going to sit back in the car. So when I come out of the restroom, my car is gone. I call him, and he's not answering the phone. So I keep calling. And then the next, 10 minutes later, he answers the phone. So I knew he went to go get his phone.
He found his phone?
Yes, and I'm furious at this point because he just left me in my
At the barber shop?
Yeah, in my car. So I tell him, bring my car back right now. He said, I'm on my way. I'll be there in a minute. About 15 minutes later, he called me and say, yo, man, you gonna kill me, man. I just crashed your car. I'm sorry, bro. Mm-hmm. And I had to walk all the way to the accident scene, to the car where he crashed my car at.
Now, you have an accident report?
No, I don't have an accident report.
Why?
Because we never called the police.
That's
because
probably a good idea.
He wasn't involved with another car. He just hit a pole.
I understand that. That's still an accident report. The only reason you don't call the police is because both of you were drinking.
Well, I wasn't driving the car at that time.
Well, you were driving the car to the barbershop, right?
Yes.
From the last bar where you dropped Mohammed off, you were driving.
Yes, I was not drunk though, Yana.
If you're not drinking, it's sort of an interesting thing. Everybody's definition of drunk is different. Your friend Mohammed said that he was the designated driver, so he was just drinking water. That's what he said.
That's what Mohammed.
Which suggests to me that we had a full day of drinking, starting at the barbershop, watching the game, from the game to 2 or 3 bars, then for a bite to eat.
No. I wasn't drinking at the barbershop. I didn't start drinking until we got to the first bar.
Okay, so now you started to drink at 6 o'clock. Now it's 10 o'clock, and you've been drinking from one place to another. I'm just saying you got behind the wheel of a car, and you had been drinking. Now, did you hit a pole?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Gray has accused his former friend, Tony Woods, of driving drunk and wrecking his car.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Okay, first off, I ain't eat no hot dog, so I never.
You didn't what?
I never had a hot dog. Never ate
Okay,
hot dog.
strike the hot dog.
No hot dog.
Whitney, it's true. He denies the hot
I
dog.
didn't eat a hot dog either.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Denies the hot dog.
Okay, so for what happened after they got in the car? First, they were very drunk.
Just a second. You don't have to tell me. All 3 of you were drunk.
I wasn't drunk yet.
Okay. By the time the car got trashed, you were drunk. Let me tell you what I believe.
Okay.
So that you can pick it up from there.
Okay.
I believe that Mohammed was dropped off at the last bar. So there came a time at the end of the evening when it was just the 2 of you. I don't know who's driving. I don't know who's the passenger. But I believe that they dropped him off because otherwise Mohammed, who appears here as a witness today, would have had a better story. Because he says, I don't know what happened afterwards, because I wasn't there. So there was a time at the end of the evening that just the 2 of you were in the car.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
Okay, can I tell you before that part, though? Because he was driving down the wrong way of the street.
Well, there's no question in my mind he shouldn't have been behind the wheel of a car.
And that's when I lost my phone and my wallet, and we were wrestling in the street. He actually attacked me.
Let's move forward.
Okay.
There came a time when just the 2 of you were in the car.
Okay.
When was that?
Well, we were sitting in front of a bar that we were about to go to. I got out the car, and I dropped my phone. At that time, I asked him to take me back to get
No. You dropped your phone. And you didn't know you dropped your phone because if you knew you dropped your phone, you would have picked it up.
Right, correct.
Right. So then you got back into the car. Driver's seat or passenger seat?
I was in the passenger seat.
And Mr. Gray was driving?
Yes.
And Mr. Mohammed was at the bar?
Yes, he was with a friend.
He had gone to the bar, so it was the two of you. You're in the passenger seat, he's driving, and he's drunk.
Yes.
And you went back to the barber shop for him to use the restroom. Just follow, because there was a time when you wanted to go back to look for your dropped phone. Do you understand?
Correct.
Now, he goes back to the barber shop. How long was he in the restroom before you realized that you had dropped your phone?
About 5 minutes.
And you realized that you had dropped your phone because you tried to make a call while you were waiting for him.
Correct. And it was snow on the ground, correct.
And it was snowing, and he didn't have a Frankfurter.
Yes.
So now he's gone in to use the restroom. You go and look for your phone. You see how easy this is, like, it's like fishing in a fish tank. You went inside, and what did you do when you went inside when you realized that you had lost your phone?
I told him, let's go get my phone, and he drove us and went and got the phone.
Okay, so he came out of the restroom. You got back into the passenger seat of the car.
Correct.
And he got into the driver's seat of the car.
Correct.
And what happened?
Then we called Mohammed to try to meet back up with him after we got my phone. And then...
No. Step slowly he turned. Step by step, inch by inch. Now you're in the car, on your way back to the bar where Mohammed is to look for your phone.
I got drunk. I think I blacked out after that point.
Not according to your answer. According to your answer, you knew exactly what happened, sir. What do you mean you blacked out? You signed a sworn statement.
I know we got the phone. I got the phone back.
Well, I know you got the phone, so you had to have driven back there successfully to get the phone.
Yes.
And is it at that point that you get back into the car and you blacked out?
No, it was just I got really drunk after getting my phone. Like after that, I just...
You don't remember what happened?
I remember getting my phone and being drunk. Like, I got my phone.
Okie dokie, there we go. Okay, you were all drunk. As a matter of fact, I have zero sympathy for any of you getting behind the wheel of a car. Okay, the car was damaged.
Yes, I have.
And so what you want me to believe that you blame him, and I could understand that because I don't know how drunk you actually were, whether or not you blame him for your wrecked car because you were driving the car back to find his phone and it wouldn't have been in that problem had he not dropped his phone out of the car, or whether he was actually driving the car drunk. It's actually irrelevant to me. You were both driving drunk. You have a bill to fix the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
And I have pictures of the accident.
Okay, so the bill was $5,500, and you had insurance?
Yes.
And the insurance paid for how much?
I had no fault insurance.
So you didn't have...
I didn't have collision.
Okay. You didn't have collision, so you had to pay $5,500, which you paid.
Yeah.
Divide that by 2.
$2,750.
That's what I thought. So, Mr. Gray, there are some lessons that you learn, and I don't know whether other courts would agree. I have to make a determination as to credibility, and quite frankly, I can't determine between two drunks who's telling me the truth. Because on the 27th of November, both of you were in no condition to drive a car. And I can't tell who actually drove the car at the time that it was wrecked. But I do know that you drove the car from a club to your barbershop, and that neither one of you stayed at the scene, called the police, because both of you were inebriated and knew that either one or both of you were going to get busted for a DUI because you both drove the car that evening. What?
Ma'am, I was not drunk at the time that this happened. I did go to the bars, but I wasn't in the bars drinking. That I had one beer.
$2,750, we're done.
This court is adjourned.
I feel like he kind of got the story wrong because I wasn't drunk, but...
I think that was very fair. I feel like, the judge was very reasonable.
I had one beer that day, but, there's a limit to, being drunk in the state of Michigan.
It was just one of those drunk things, but we got it taken care of.
I wanted to make him look like my vehicle.
It was very snowy outside, and, something happened, and I don't remember.
I didn't do anything. I just called a tow truck and tried to get the situation solved.
And I'm very happy to get this case behind me.
Satisfied I got something out of the deal.
I don't know. Hopefully we could get back to being friends. He's a good guy.
I'm surprised you gave them anything. Unclean hands don't deserve money from this court, as we've seen time and again. So I'm surprised, really, that you gave him even half of what he was asking, because you couldn't tell which one of them was credible, if either of them were credible. And so what are you supposed to do? I mean, I guess splitting it down the middle was, I understand why you made your judgment, but I would have taught him a lesson, given him nothing.
Interesting.
Drunk driving is nothing to play around with.
Yeah.
Very serious.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad in the DNA it's getting tougher rather than softer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. You may be right. You may be right. I just felt that they were both at fault, and either you leave the parties where they are, or you say both of you have to hurt a little.
Yep. I understand.
But I actually understand.
Ryan Davis is suing his former landlord, Alex Zadie, for a false arrest and bail money.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2027, Davis versus Zadie.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, a couple of years ago, you were a tenant of the defendants.
Correct, Your Honor.
You rented a room from him?
Correct, Your
in
Honor.
his house. For how long?
For about a year, a little over.
From when to when?
2020, I want to say the beginning of the year till about the end.
Do you remember the dates that he was a tenant?
Yes, they're incorrect what he's saying. It was from May of 2020 to November 2020.
Does that sound right, Mr. Davis?
Something like that, yeah.
May, June, July, August, September, October, and when in November did he leave?
I believe it was by the 10th.
This is what your case is about. Briefly, it is your claim that you and Mr. Zadie had some sort of an argument.
Correct.
Which you'll tell me about. And Mr. Zadie called the police. You were taken from the premises. You were arrested, spent the night in jail, mailed yourself out. And this happened in 2020.
Correct.
In November of 2020. Your lawsuit is for false arrest and actual damages. You had to post bail and for filing a false police report. The reason that you have delayed for 2 years in bringing this case against him is because you say you had another action pending.
Correct, Your Honor.
What was the nature of the other action that you had pending?
It was a speeding issue with the police.
Well, it's not a speeding issue with the police. Were you stopped for speeding?
It
Were
was a
you
28
arrested for speeding?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
You were arrested for speeding?
Yeah, and they called it a 2800 VC, if my memory serves me correct.
Well, I don't know what that is.
It's, I guess, evading.
Look into it.
In what city and state do you live?
Irvine, California.
Let me understand this. Very few people are arrested for speeding. You remember what you were arrested for, sir? You weren't arrested for speeding.
They called it evading an officer because I didn't pull over right away.
So you were evading an officer. Let's try that, Sarah.
Evading a police officer in a vehicle. It's vehicle code 2800-1.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, what does it say?
Prohibits evading an officer in a vehicle, which means willfully fleeing from a police officer when the officer is pursuing the person in a car or on a bike. The offense is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail.
Okay, so you had a misdemeanor pending, right? Anything else?
No, that was it.
Anything else historically?
Yes, I did have historical priors and cases and stuff from my past. Yes, I did.
Recent past or distant past?
Distant past.
How distant?
Years. I want to say 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't have to go into 2004. So you had this case pending and you felt that it was inappropriate to bring a civil case against him.
Yeah, because I didn't want the cases to intertwine, Your Honor.
They weren't going to intertwine. The case that he brought against you was eventually dismissed.
Correct.
In what month and year was it dismissed?
It was dismissed the same month, about 2 weeks after that.
Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay. So let me understand this. He alleged that you assaulted him or threatened him. You were taken into custody. The DA examined the case and decided not to prosecute it.
Correct.
And that was 2 years ago.
Correct.
Well, I don't know who gave you advice, sir, or whether you did this on your own, but bringing a civil case against someone for something has no impact whatsoever on a pending criminal case, be it a felony or a misdemeanor. You know, if you were driving in a car and someone hit you in the rear in November of 2020, and you waited 2 years to bring that because you had this evading a police officer action and you thought that that was a valid reason, your case would be dismissed for the hit in the rear. and whatever injuries you had, because you're supposed to bring these things in a timely fashion.
I understand.
2 years is not a timely fashion. Now that I've suggested that to you, I would like to hear what you say transpired in November 2020, to the best of your recollection.
On November the 9th, 2020, me and my former landlord, Alex Aditi over here, we had an argument about a guest that I had over.
Okay. You had an argument over the phone or in person?
Over the phone.
Tell me how that phone call was initiated.
He texted me some things, and I called him because I wanted to...
Okay. He texted you. Do you have a copy of that text?
No, I don't have the text.
Do you recall what that text said?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what it said.
I told him that he has to get his girlfriend out of the house because she's been coming in every day and night, staying there.
Okay. So you said, in effect, I rented you this room, not your girlfriend.
Correct.
You got to get her out of the house.
Yes.
Okay.
I had
you remember her
already
name?
addressed to him
just
prior.
Just a second. You remember her name?
Not.
What was her name?
Twana.
Now, when you rented the room in May, just a second. When you rented the room in May and you moved in, did Tawana move in with you?
She did not move in with me.
So when you rented the room for yourself in May, you rented the room as a single person.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And when did you bring Tawana into the room?
It would be once in a while.
No. What month, sir?
I don't recall the exact month.
What month, sir?
It started happening like back in August, every day. It started one day, then every other day, and then it became constant day and night.
For how long?
For a long, long time, till towards the November when it just went out of proportion.
The argument was about having his girlfriend, according to you, practically living there.
Right.
And you didn't want her there?
No.
Okay, because you rented a room to a single man who, until the girlfriend started to come in, I assume you didn't have trouble with.
Right.
So that's what your text message said to him in November. And as a result of that text message, you called him on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to lay out the story.
Okay.
So you called him on the phone, and you said what to him, and he said what to you?
I don't recall exactly what I said to him, but I remember he told me to tell her, get the out, get out my house, get out right now. Your girlfriend is a... He was saying a bunch of derogatory things over the phone to me and then hung up in my face. I'm working at the time. So when I came back...
Did you call your girlfriend?
No, I didn't call her.
Did you text her?
We speak regularly. We're talking all the time.
No, then.
Yeah, she knew about it. She did.
Don't tell me what she knew. I just asked you if you texted her or called her.
Yeah, I did.
You did. And when you texted or called her, was she in the house? Was she in your room?
No, she was gone already at this time. When we were arguing,
just
she was...
Just a second. Is that because he told her to leave?
No, she was leaving already. She had work to go to. She wasn't living there. She had her own place and job in Lakewood, California. And I would tell him that all the time, but he would always insinuate that, oh, no, she's living there. I'm like, no, she's not. She pays $2,000 in rent.
He lives in the house with you.
Right.
Now, before Tawana, had you had any difficulty with him? You
None
moved
at
in
all.
May. May, did you have any difficulty? No.
No.
June, did you have any difficulty?
No.
July, did you have any difficulty?
No.
No. You didn't have difficulty until Tawana came.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
So he told you in a very rude way, if I accept that, to get Tawana out of his house.
Correct, Your Honor.
Then you came home from work.
Mm-hmm.
What time did you get home from work?
About 9-ish.
And Tawana was gone.
Yeah, she was gone.
Had she taken her things?
There was nothing for her to take. She didn't bring stuff over there. She wasn't living there.
No, but she came over there and stayed a few days a week and never had
Maybe
any
an
stuff.
overnight bag.
Okay,
That's
but
it.
she took it with her when she left.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got home about 9 o'clock, and what happened?
I got home at 9 and I said, don't disrespect me and my woman. You know, this is a woman I love.
When you got home, you walked in the front door. Where was he?
He was in the kitchen and he had a female guest there too. That was
He's
there
allowed
for
to have a
weeks.
female guest. It's his house.
Yeah, right. The pot calling the kettle black, basically.
No,
Hypocrisy.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, if you rent a room to a single guy, did you have a lease agreement with him?
Yeah, I did have a lease agreement.
Did you have a written lease?
Yes, I did.
Did your written lease provide that you were going to live there?
Yes, it did.
Just you?
Yes.
Well, you bring in another person, that's in violation of the lease.
That's not in violation of the lease because there was nothing in the lease that said I couldn't have guests. He actually said I could have guests.
Guest is one thing. A guest is somebody that doesn't come with an overnight bag regularly.
No, he said
One
I
day,
could have an overnight
2 days, 3 days, 4 days. That's more than an occasional guest. That's somebody that comes and goes even when you're not there. Because according to you, you contacted Tawana while you were at work and she was at the house.
That's false.
Well, I thought you contacted her and then you said she left. She took a few things with her, probably just an overnight bag.
No, she was not going there when I wasn't there. That's false.
Are you saying that she was not in your room when you were not home?
When I was not there, no,
Yeah.
she would not be there.
That true?
No, he had made a key to her. She would come as she pleased.
Did you make her a
That's
key?
false. That's absolutely false.
Did you make her a key?
No, that's
is my
absolutely
question.
false. No, I
Do
didn't
you
make her
still
a key.
speak to Tawana?
No, I don't. We kind of fell out of touch.
If I were to call Tawana and ask her whether or not you made a key, would she tell me she did or she didn't?
She would say that I didn't.
Didn't.
Yeah.
Phone number.
Uh,
I have it in my spam.
I don't have her number saved here.
I'm not exactly buying the fact that Tawana did not have access to the home even when you weren't there. Even if it was just a half hour before you came home from work, sir. You work until 9 o'clock every night?
Your Honor, I had this to say about the whole key situation. I gave her my key when I was locked up in jail from his false police report. I gave her my property, and she had my key then to help me get the stuff out of his home. But I never went and made her a copy of a key
Did she
anywhere.
ever use your key other than when you were incarcerated?
No.
He says she did.
Ryan Davis claims his former landlord, Alex Zadie, owes for bail money after Alex had him falsely arrested.
Okay, so now you're having this discussion. He's in the kitchen. You come home from work at 9 o'clock, and
Yeah.
you went into the kitchen to look for him.
Correct.
And when you found him, tell me what happened.
We had just a brief, maybe 2-minute conversation or argument, discourse about what the things that he said. And I said, you know, don't be disrespectful to my woman and me. And I said, you know, you're a bitch. I called him a bitch. I did. But I never threatened him,
No, you
harassed
said
him.
you're what?
That's it.
What does that mean? That's a half a sentence.
Well,
He was calling him a bitch. You are a bitch.
Oh, you were calling him?
yes, because he says
a
these
guy.
things over the phone.
He's a guy. Why would
Yeah.
you call him a...
Because he says all these things over the phone and he gets real loud and he's a completely different person when he's on the phone than when I'm in
You
his...
think that's gender neutral?
Yeah, at this point.
Well, there you go. That's why I have you here. Okie dokie.
So
Okay, so you were going, don't call me that. You called him a name, and then things got heated, and then what happened?
no, things didn't get heated. After that, he said, oh, that's how you want to do it? And then I said, if you want to get me evicted, you have to go through it the right way and do it legally and give me a 30-day eviction.
No, he must have said to you, I want you out of here because you called me a name.
It
If
wasn't
you said, if
about-
you want me evicted, then he had to have said something about getting you out.
He didn't really see, I don't remember him mentioning anything about me getting out. I just remember the fact that he called the police to get
No,
me
before
out.
he called the police. You're still in the kitchen. Do you ever leave the kitchen?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go?
I went to my room.
Okay. Before you went to your room, did you hear him on the phone with the police?
I did.
Before you went
Yes.
to your room?
Yes.
Okay. And?
And I didn't sit there and listen to his phone call. I took a video and I started recording because I didn't want to be made out to look like the guilty party. And I had it pretty much live streaming the whole time, which was an Instagram video.
Can
to
I see it?
prove, No, I don't have the video. The
But
police
then it
deleted
doesn't exist. If you don't have it, it doesn't
Yeah,
exist
I
for
understand.
my purpose.
Understood.
But you had it then.
Yeah, I did have it then.
You did. And the police came,
Yes.
and I assume if the police came, you showed them the video.
Yeah, I was showing it to him.
And despite showing them the video, they took you into custody.
Despite showing them the video, they
Just
took
a
me
second.
into custody.
Despite looking at the video,
Yes.
which I
They
haven't
didn't-
seen.
They didn't look at the video. They refused to look at it.
Well, let's go one step further. You see, Mr. Davis, this is why you bring actions right away, so that not only everybody's memory is fresh, but if I wanted to call a police officer
where you're
who
coming.
responded or whatever, that's why you bring an action right away.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So now you're taken into custody and you have a video that is totally, according to you, exculpatory.
I don't know the definition.
Exculpatory means it says that you were not guilty of anything.
Okay.
And you appear in court?
No, I didn't appear in court.
Never?
No, never.
Well, what happened to the case?
The case was thrown out. It was a DA reject because there was insufficient evidence that I did anything to him.
And you never showed the district attorney your video?
I didn't get a chance to because the video was deleted by the police.
The police department deleted your video?
Yeah, they did.
You are a terrible victim of circumstance, Mr. Davis. Did you ever make a complaint that the police department deleted your video that would be exculpatory?
No.
Why not? I would if I had.
Maybe ignorance of the law, I guess.
What?
I said maybe ignorance of the law, I guess. Not knowing. When you know better, you do better.
No, Mr. Davis. Actually, I mean, sometimes you really don't know what the law is, but you were smart enough, you said, to tell me, because you knew I would say, why wait 2 years, that you didn't want this action to conflict with another action. Well, that's a two-process thinker.
I've had something like that happen to me before, where I had a criminal case and a civil case pending, and the dates were kind of intertwining and messing, and then about to get in the way of my civil case. So I didn't want to make that same mistake with this case, Your Honor.
Okay, so you want to tell me what your version of the events were of November 9th of 2020?
Yes, Your Honor. I had gone to Mexico for a business trip meeting, and I had my friend who was visiting from Mexico staying at my place, and at that same time, I had another roommate who was renting the room next to Ryan Davis's room. His name was Dave. I received a call from Dave on November 9th that is constant sex going on.
Okay, so you received a call from the other person living in your house who you were renting a room to.
Right.
Okay, and then, don't tell me what he said. Can't tell me, that's all hearsay.
Well, I've heard prior to all the sexual acts taking place.
Listen to me. You personally?
Yes.
When you were home?
Yes.
Okay, so you heard what was going on behind his closed doors?
Right, day and night.
Okay.
Like there's no tomorrow.
Okay, well, maybe, maybe jealous. Okay.
Disrespectful.
Shh. Okay, so he was becoming an annoying tenant.
Yes.
For whatever reason.
Yes.
Keep going. You sent him a text. He called you. You had heated words. He comes home from work. You're in the kitchen.
Yes.
He comes into the kitchen and
I told him, Ryan, we've gone through this many times before. I've addressed this to you about your girlfriend coming here all the time, day and night, and now she's here every day. What he was doing was sneaking her in late at night, and that's how I will know that she snuck back in. There were times I came home from work, and she was already there when Ryan wasn't even there, so she had the key, obviously.
Okay, now let's go to November 9th.
November 9th, I confronted him. I said that this is just way too much. My other roommate wants to leave. He cannot take it anymore.
And
then he said, well, she isn't here. And
Okay, he said she wasn't here. Keep going.
Then he cussed at my friend who was visiting from Mexico. He said, get this bitch out of here.
That's not true.
Don't interrupt.
And,
okay.
I said, you can talk to her.
Okay, let's go.
Right. Then he went into his room. He came back. He brought a samurai sword with him. And he flashed it at me. I'm going to slice you in half like a butter.
Okay.
What?
And I'm like shocked at that time. Don't know what's going on with him because he's just changing character. I'm scared of my life. I'm scared of my guests.
Okay. And then what happened? So
And
he
then
came out
I said, you need to get out of here. You need to move.
And then he went back. He didn't do anything with the sword.
No, he didn't. He went back in the room with the sword. He put it there. But then he came back and he pushed me against the wall. As he was pushing me, I tried to block him by putting my two hands up. And when he pushed me, a bruise, I had a cut on my wrist, but there was a bruise.
Okay.
And
now,
I
at what
said, I'm
point?
going to call the police.
Okay, so you called the police when he came back out of his room the second time, this time without the sword. And the police took a report.
Yes.
Do you have that report?
Yes.
I'd
right
like to
here.
see it. Mr. Davis, do you have a copy of the police report or
I
any
have it right
follow-up
here, too,
report?
Your
I'd like to see that too. Mr. Davis, where did you get the sword from?
My girlfriend at the time,
Which girlfriend?
Twana.
When did she get it for you?
She got it during my birthday, for a birthday gift.
When's your birthday?
October 31st.
And this happened on November 9th.
Correct.
Between October 31st and November 9th, did you have occasion to show Mrs. Zaidi prior to November 9th? So
Never,
between
Your Honor.
31st and the 8th, did you show Mr. Zaidi the sword?
Never, Your Honor.
For landlord Alex Zaidi of causing a false arrest. Alex says Ryan threatened him with a samurai sword.
Okay. October 31st to November 8th, did you ever show Mr. Zaidi the sword?
No, Your Honor.
No.
No.
Okay. So unless he went into your room,
He went into my room.
unless he went into your room prior to November 9th, there was no way he would have seen the sword.
Correct.
Okay. And when did you go away on this business trip, sir?
On the 9th.
That day?
Yes, in the morning.
And on what day did you first see this sword that was in his room?
On the evening of November 9th.
That was the first time, not his birthday, not second day, not third day. Okay. Does his room have a lock on it, by the way?
From inside.
From inside. Mr. Davis, were you on probation at the time of this incident for something in Riverside that involved a fraud?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And that wasn't a fraud dating back to 2004?
It was dating back.
No, it wasn't an incident.
For 2000 and, I believe, 15.
Okay. So when you told me before, and I'm not even going to have Whitney read it back, you said the last time you had this speeding little problem and evading police, I said, well, before that? And you said, yeah, I did before that in 2004.
Correct.
But that was a lie.
Which was like...
Just a second, that was a lie. You had another case involving a fraud in 2015 on which you were on probation, which means that you were either found guilty or took a plea.
Correct.
Okay. And when the police officer, Mr. Davis, took down your statement, you said that while you acknowledged that you had a samurai sword in your room, you said you had never shown it to Mr. Zaidi.
Correct, Your Honor.
You had never showed it at any time. Well, then how would he know that you had a samurai sword, sir, in your room when he called the police?
Because he was going in my room, I believe, when I was not there, going through my stuff.
Okay.
That's the only other way I can know that he was.
Okay. I'm not finished reading this, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
That's like the 2015 case. You just remembered. Do you have any other police reports that you'd like me to see, Mr. Davis?
Not a police report, but I have the bail bonds receipt that I paid. And
I'm not interested in your bail bonds receipt.
I have the DA reject.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, they rejected the case right here.
Yeah,
They refused
I'd like
to file
to see
charges. Your Honor, there's a conflicting story where he said he was left on the 9th because he was there 2 weeks with his guest prior to that. So how could he leave on the 9th if his guest was there 2 weeks prior to
I
the
asked
9th?
him when he left for his... Sir, you didn't understand the reason for my question. I wanted to know if he had been gone from October 31st, which was your birthday, to the 8th. That's why I asked him when he left on his business trip.
Correct.
And he said he didn't leave until the date of this incident. You want to say he left before?
He did.
That would
leave
be
before.
interesting.
He
What?
did leave before.
He did.
Yes.
On what date did he leave?
I don't know the exact date, but I
A
know
week before, 5 days before?
it was maybe about a few weeks before.
November 9th?
Yeah, a few weeks.
Then he wouldn't have been able to see your sword because he wouldn't have been coming in and out of your room.
There from the 9th.
Well,
from
this
the
happened on the
31st
9th.
From the 31st to the 9th, he was there.
Well, you just told me he left 2 weeks before.
I'm saying he was gone before that date, and then on the 31st, between the 31st and the 9th, he was there at the place.
Okay, well, that's what he says. He said he was there, and the business was only one day. He left on the 9th, and he came home on the 9th. You said, no, he was there for 2 weeks before. Well, if he was there for 2 weeks before and you didn't get the sword until 31st of October, he could not have seen it by going in and out of your room. So you have to sort of get your story straight, sir. So he was there or not there, according to you?
He was there.
He was there?
Correct.
Okay, good.
His guest was also there for about 2 weeks.
Just who cares about his guest? He owns the house.
Okay.
Okay, it was a misdemeanor case and they declined to prosecute it.
Correct.
Your case is dismissed, Mr. Davis, for several reasons. It's dismissed because it was brought in an untimely fashion. It was brought 2 years after the fact for no valid reason.
Your Honor,
it's dismissed for that.
pandemic.
It's dismissed for a second reason, because I find some of your testimony, sir, incredible. And one of the reasons I say that is because you were not forthcoming with a legitimate answer to me with regard to your prior history, which isn't always dispositive, but if you had something pending for evading the police, and you had something pending for evading the police while you were on probation for a crime for which you were convicted, either after trial or after hearing, do you understand? You would remember that. Are you still on probation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, your case is dismissed. We're done.
This
You're
court is
making a
adjourned.
big mistake, Your Honor. You have guests over 2 to 3 weeks at a time, but I have a girl over for 3 days, and now it's World War III.
He was only allowed to stay there by himself, not with his girlfriend.
I never went at him with a samurai sword.
It was pretty scary.
He basically just used the system against me because I'm a person of color and I have a record already, so I fit the bill.
He had a criminal record. When I rented the room to him, he was asking for a second chance.
It's easier for them to lock somebody up who's already been to jail.
Nobody was renting him the room, and he was saying he's trying to start a new life.
I'm 6'1", 200 pounds. I wouldn't even need a weapon if I was going to assault him, but I never did.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
You know, there are so many lessons from this case, I think, Sarah. One of them is there's a reason that the law tells you to bring an action in a timely fashion, right?
Many reasons.
Many reasons. One is because it's not like an afterthought, you know, and there are reasons for delays. You were in a hospital, you go into the armed forces, but here there was no really legitimate reason for him not bringing this kind of case in a timely fashion. And the other one that's always a good thing to me, what did you think about his credibility?
Yeah, I think it's hard for a fact finder to believe the totality of your testimony if one of the first questions, just about a simple question of your prior history with law enforcement, if you have any pending charges, I think that's a very simple question. If you aren't fully truthful with the fact finder on that question, it makes it really difficult, and the rest of your testimony is now suspect.
That's true. And it's a good lesson, because sometimes you think, well, it's sort of an innocuous question. I don't have to get. But if I, sitting as a juror in a case, see that somebody is fabricating a fact, and they want you to believe them, you know, they're saying it is that I want you to believe my last law enforcement issue was in 2004.
A long time ago, no run-ins.
Right, nothing else, and a speeding ticket. And
it sets the tone in a negative way, and it makes it difficult for the fact finder to find in your favor.
I'm glad. So you agreed with that.
For vet bills from a dog attack.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2034, Smallwood versus Moon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Smallwood, you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes.
You probably share a common area either in the front or the back. You have small dogs. I think you have a large dog or two.
Two of them, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, two of them.
And it is your claim that one of his dogs attacked your dog on your property. The dog was injured. You want the defendant to be responsible for the vet bills that you had for your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been neighbors?
I've been living in the neighborhoods for 23 years.
And what about you, sir?
2.
Do you own your own home?
Yes, ma'am.
And you?
I rent it.
Are you familiar with Mr. Moon's dogs?
Not at all, sir.
Have you ever seen them before?
No, ma'am.
You mean in the 2 years that he's been there, prior to this incident, you've never seen his dogs?
They live in a back cul-de-sac from where I am.
Do you have adjacent property?
No, ma'am. He lives maybe about, I want to say almost a mile.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct, sir?
I guess so. I don't know exactly where her house is either.
Well, so you don't have adjacent property.
We just live in the same neighborhood.
How did your dog get out? Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am. So the one.
Try to speak up.
I guess it jumped over the fence.
What kind of a dog is it?
A pit mix.
On what day did it jump over the fence?
About 2 months ago from today.
Has it ever jumped over the fence before?
It has.
Then you don't have a big enough fence.
Well, she climbs the fence. It's not that she just hops over it. She actually literally climbs it.
Then you keep her inside. Then you keep her outside if she wants to be outside, and you keep her on a chain.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if you were aware of the fact that your dog can get out from over the fence, then the dog is not in your control.
Correct.
On what date was your dog injured?
May 10th.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see the incident?
I didn't see it right away, but as I set the dogs out to use the bathroom, went back in the house, put some clothes on, heard a commotion, went back outside, and that's when I seen the first attack. And I yelled at the dogs, and they took off running down the street.
How many were there?
2.
Were they pit bulls?
Yes, ma'am. It's to my knowledge.
What color were they?
White.
Is that the color of your dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
And they were together? The two of them were together?
Yes, ma'am.
You say that was the first attack?
Right.
So your dog was okay?
Well, he was laying in the ground, and I ran and put clothes on. I yelled at him. The dogs took off running. I come back out to get him, but he's on the other side of the yard. I have a half acre, so he's literally on the other side of the yard.
Your dog or his dog?
My dog, after I seen the video. I wasn't sure how he got there, but the animal control say I don't have a case unless I have video. And I looked at the video.
Where did you have a camera? In your backyard?
In my front yard. It's in
You
the
have
front.
that video here?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Is that your yard?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's your dog, sir?
That's my little one, the black and white.
The little one is your dog, but the big one is his?
Yes, ma'am. Let's see there.
You understand what the problem is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why don't you, Mr. Moon, tell me what the problem is?
So I think she was there to prevent it, for one. So there's other videos too, but she came out, she shushed my dogs away, they ran off, and then she went back inside and left her dogs outside with no leash or fenced in.
That's in her property.
I went back.
How do I know what?
That's her property.
How do I know that's her? There's no property lines or nothing?
No, that's her property.
Okay, well.
That's her property. You live a half a mile away.
Her dog could have ran out of her yard. He was like halfway out in the yard or field or whatever that was. You know, I mean, her dog came out barking at my dogs. And if he really would have wanted to hurt the dog, then he could have killed the dog if he wanted to. I feel like he was more
Just a second,
more playing.
Just a second that's an interesting statement. He could have killed her dog if he wanted to.
Right.
That's an interesting statement. Did you see her dog? You know what kind of dog hers is?
No, I mean, it's a
little Schnurdiger.
Right.
Right? Little one, maybe 5 pounds, maybe 6.
3. 3 pounds.
Okay. You think that if her dog, and then you've got a little Pekingese?
That's Pomeranian.
Pomeranian.
Yeah.
It's got a little Pomeranian. Do you think that if those dogs got out from their fenced yard, like your dog, do you think if they came across your dogs, they could kill it? Or both of them? You think they could?
No.
Okay. Let's take it a step further, Mr. Moon, because you're not giving me the answers that I want to hear. So let's take it a step further. Do you think that if Miss Smallwood's 2 little dogs got out, like your dogs got out, and they came across a toddler playing in their backyard, do you think her 2 little dogs could kill the toddler?
Probably not.
Could yours?
Probably so.
Probably so. So do you think that you have a greater or a lesser responsibility as the owner of dogs that are capable of killing a human being? You think that you owe a lesser or a greater responsibility to society as a whole to make sure that those dogs are within your control all the time?
Her neighbor, Nathan Moon, owes for vet bills from a dog attack.
So you think that you owe a lesser or a greater responsibility to society as a whole to make sure that those dogs are within your control all the time?
Correct. Well, since then,
And what you told me, I'm still venting, because for those people in the world that decide that dangerous dog breeds, those dog breeds that have been deemed dangerous in every state in the United States, and insurance companies won't insure you if you have certain breeds of dogs, and yours are within that little group of dogs. Most insurance companies, unless you pay a very high premium, exclude injury from those dogs. So you understand that you have animals that are deemed dangerous, and you told me 5 minutes ago that your dogs are able to climb over the fence, and they've done it before this incident. Isn't that what you told me? I mean, I have my reporter here who can read it back. Isn't that what you told me?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you agree with me that your dogs are capable of causing death to a human being, and that your dogs have been able to get out from the enclosure that you prepared for them, then there is no question that you are responsible for any damage that your dogs do to another dog, to a child, to an adult. You want to be a fool and own dogs that are capable of killing, you have to be responsible. Just as if you had a wild tiger, you wouldn't leave it out in the backyard in a fence that it could climb, because if you did, you would be responsible if it ate 3 people. Do you know how many people pit bulls killed last year? They just killed another one in New York. A woman ate her. So you want to be a fool and have a dog like that, you're responsible for any injury it causes.
I also have pictures of the injury.
I'd like to see it. How much were your vet bills, Miss Smallwood?
The vet bill was $1,421.
And I'm going to tell you this, Mr. Moon. So there's no question you're responsible for her vet bills. No question. But because you told me that your dogs had gotten out before and you didn't remedy that situation, I'm tacking on another $1,000, which is what she's requesting. And while it's not for pain and suffering of the dog, because I'm precluded from giving you that kind of an award, it's a deterrence for people who have dogs that can kill, to keep those dogs under their control all the time. And if you don't want to do that, get a Pomeranian. We're done. $2,400. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
Our dogs weren't on leash or in a fence either.
Well, I'm glad she understood the dangers of pit bulls.
She was just requesting the vet bills.
Glad she seen the case going my way.
I mean, she just wanted the money and said that her dog was injured.
Just hurts my heart still.
I wish I could have had more control over my dogs.
To see him, slung around like a rag.
Man, sorry.
Contain your animals.
Yeah, one thing you picked up on but didn't quite name it was that when he knew his dog was capable of climbing over his own fence that he had enclosed the dogs in, he was on notice from that point forward that his dogs were capable of getting out of the yard. He knew that they had potential to be dangerous dogs, and he chose not to do anything about it. And you can't claim anything was an accident after the point where you were put on notice. So I agreed completely with your judgment.
A, I'm glad you agree with me, and B, I'm glad that the money was well spent on your education.
Case number 2038, Stewart versus Thomas. All parties, please step forward.
Precious Stewart is suing hairstylist Karani Thomas for damages from a wig installation.
Ms. Stewart, you're complaining that the defendant who tried to restyle or reinstall a wig that you had recently purchased did a terrible job. And in addition to doing a terrible job, she tried to fix it, and then she didn't return it to you.
Exactly.
So you want the cost of the wig.
And the install.
And what?
And the install.
And the $200 that
yes,
you
ma'am.
charge you for the installation of the wig. Is that what they call it, installation?
Yes, ma'am.
Usually refer to furniture as an installation. I never knew that they referred to a wig as installation. Okay, you purchased this wig when?
I purchased a wig on February 12th.
Of what year?
2022.
Can I see the receipt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you paid $697 for it?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you bought wigs from this particular outlet before?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not her outlet?
No, ma'am.
And did this outlet where you purchased the wigs from, did they also install it?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you install the wig that you purchased?
The first time that I installed it was March 3rd.
What did you do with it between the 12th and the 3rd?
You said between the 12th?
12th of February and March 3rd.
Well, she had it.
Who had it?
The lady
The
that
other
I purchased.
lady?
Yes.
What did she do with it?
She just held it in because she installed it for me the first time.
Not understanding me. You purchased it on February 12th?
Yes.
Did you use it or did you not use it between February 12th and March? Didn't use it. So the first time it was installed was March 3rd?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have other wigs?
Yes, ma'am.
That you use regularly? The first time it was installed, according to you, it didn't look right. And you thereafter contacted the defendant. Had you ever used her services before?
No, ma'am.
How did you know about her?
She did a fashion show with me and another girl before, and she was a model. That's how I was introduced to her before. We proceeded to follow each other over social media, so I was, watching her do hair and post her videos and stuff, so that's how
So you contacted her on what date to do a reinstall?
I believe it was...
It was
like
March.
March, no, it wasn't.
In the month of March?
Yes.
The same month that you had it initially installed?
It was the end of March.
But the same month?
Yes.
And you went to her home? Is that where she operates?
Yes,
I gather that you were in her home.
At the time, yes. She used to work inside a studio.
What I read in your complaint was when you left, you noticed that the installation had left certain, according to you, bald spots in the netting.
Yes, ma'am.
And you contacted the defendant?
Right away.
Do you remember that call, Ms. Thomas?
claims hairstylist Karani Thomas did not properly install her wig and never returned it.
Okay. Do you remember that call, Ms. Thomas?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what she said to you when she called.
She said that specifically there were spots or gaps that she needed to be fixed. So I told her that she can come back the next day and we would fix whatever spots because she didn't send me a picture. So I just told her, go ahead, come back the next day.
But she did, in fact, pay you the $200
Yes.
for installing the wig.
Her coming back the next day wasn't an extra charge.
Did she come back the next day?
No.
Do you know why?
She did not come back at the time that she was supposed to because she said that her carpets were getting clean and she forgot. I also have proof of that in messages.
I'd like to see it. Thank you. Okay, so it looks as if the day that you had set to go there, you kept stalling it because you had workmen in your house.
Yeah,
Is that right?
I have a
Yeah, that's a yes.
I had a maintenance man.
Yeah, that's yes. You had workmen in the house. She said, come. You had workmen in the house. And then you asked to come when her baby was sleeping. And she said, don't come when my baby is sleeping because the dogs will bark and wake up the baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's the only page that I have here.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when did she come back?
Afterward, that same night, I have another paper. She didn't come back, and then she sent me this text message letting me know that she got in contact with another hairstylist that's apparently a friend of hers, saying that...
No, I can read.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what you say in this text is that you showed the wig to somebody else.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they told you that it couldn't be fixed because too much was plucked away and whatever.
Too much of the lace was removed.
And you want a full refund and a wig replacement. And then you say, I hate this because you're a very sweet person, very talented. I'm not sure how we got here. I'm going to proceed with removing the wig from my head. I'll bring it to you so you can see if there's any saving possible. Thank you and sorry for the inconvenience. When did you do that?
The same day.
Okay, so you brought it to her.
No, I didn't bring it to her. I told her that the same day that I was...
No, when did you bring it to her?
I brought it to her the next day.
Okay, so that was still the end of March, or was that the beginning of April?
I believe it was still the end of March.
It was March 26th.
So you brought it to her, and what happened?
I brought it to her. She said that she would try to fix it. She then proceeded trying to fix it. She sent me photos of what she tried to do, which wasn't really much of anything because it still looked bald, as I have a photo right here. Still looked the same way that it looked when she took it off. When she put it on. Also, I have these photos as well as what it looked like the next morning. Looked like it was disintegrating off my head. That's a proper install the next morning. A few hours.
Just looking.
Doesn't do that.
Okay. Okay. I see them. Would you show these to the defendant, please?
She's here.
Yes, I have them.
You have them?
She sent that to my phone.
Okay, great. I'll take them back now. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome, Judge.
Okay, so you had a dissatisfied customer who wanted her money back.
Right.
What did you do with the wig? Because you now had the wig.
Right. I reconstructed the wig. So after we
What did you do with it?
She told me she sold it. Sorry.
I didn't ask you anything.
Sorry.
What did you do with the wig?
It had been over 2 months since we had in contact with each other. I just got rid of it.
How did you get rid of it?
I threw it away.
Why?
Because I had spent money that went to waste and I replaced it. I couldn't do anything with it.
What do you mean replaced it?
I replaced the frontal that she said I made bald. So I spent my own money. I reconstructed it by putting a new frontal on the wig. I have messages of her agreeing, saying that the new work looked good and she would not come pick the wig up because I wouldn't do another install on her head.
May I see those? I assume those text messages go into April and May.
Yes.
Okay. And so we're not that far away. And I would assume that the wig doesn't take up that much room in your house.
Well, she didn't come back until June.
It doesn't matter.
With the police.
What does that matter?
She said that she didn't want it anymore.
Good morning, Boo. I will be home tomorrow. Okay, I'll get back to you, take pictures of well. Okay. Well, in any event, you had no right to either give it away, sell it, throw it away until this matter was resolved. So you owe her, first, the $675 that you spent for the wig.
May I speak?
You can speak all you want, but you owe her the $675 that you spent for the wig. You had no right to throw it away.
Even with her saying that she didn't want it anymore?
I never said I didn't want it, though.
But you did. I have proof of that.
You said I did. I said I didn't want it.
Are you talking to each other? If you talk to each other, then I dismiss your case. Do you understand?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Bottom line. So if you have proof that she said to you, you can discard the wig, then I'll say, I don't want that wig anymore. You owe me for the wig because you ruined it. That's a different story than I don't want it anymore.
Okay. Can I?
Do you understand?
Can I find that?
Absolutely.
I don't know if what I'm trying to find is in the papers that you have or here. So I'm sorry if I'm taking long. I'm reading.
I don't see anything in the papers that I have here that says you can get rid of it.
Okay, I do. I have it. Well, it doesn't say get rid of it, but it does say you can keep the wig and give me my $700 then.
Oh, yeah. I can understand that. So did you give her money? You kept it?
No.
You kept it?
I did not.
Did you give her money?
No, I did not.
Well, then you owe her $697 for the wig and the other $200 that she paid you, which I believe she did for the install. Judgment for the plaintiff, $897. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think she made the right decision.
I feel like the judge made the wrong decision.
I was trying to let things die down, maybe a civil person.
We both came to an agreement that I would reconstruct the unit.
It would have been like, hey, it doesn't belong to me, let me just give it back.
The problem was that she wouldn't come back and pick it up because I wouldn't install her hair again.
Just give me my wig back. And she told me no.
I felt I didn't owe her any money.
I don't got the wig, but I'm getting my money back.
Simple,
Yeah.
easy. You can't throw away somebody's property.
Yep.
The only thing that I was amazed at in the complaint, Sarah, is that she sat there for 5.5 hours while she had this wig installed.
Yeah. Beauty is pain.
I cannot imagine sitting someplace 5.5 hours without leaving with a baby or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
the things women do for beauty.
Case 2053, Johnson versus Blue. All parties, please come forward.
Rochelle Johnson is suing her sister-in-law, Monique Blue, and her brother, Antonio Blue, for unpaid rent and window blinds.
Ms. Johnson, the defendant is your brother.
That is correct.
And his co-defendant, your brother's wife. You had a home that was located in what state?
California.
Several years ago, you decided to move out of state, I think to Arizona?
Yes.
And at that time, you discussed with your brother and his wife renting your home. You entered into a lease with them. Was it a 2-year lease?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was a written lease?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
That's a 2-year, and I also have a 6-month.
No,
want the 6. Okay.
Just the first lease first, because I'm old and I can only absorb a certain amount of facts at one time. It's a pretty straightforward lease. It's a lease for 24 months, starting the 1st of July, 2019, and terminating on July 1st, 2021. $1,600 a month rent, there's a small security deposit, and all the other terms and conditions are rather standard. Your complaint says that when you went to the state of Arizona, ultimately you ascertained that your health coverage, your lifetime health coverage, was not covered in the state of Arizona. You decided you wanted to move back to California. You don't even have to give a reason why you want to move back to California. You can move back to California into your house on July 1st, 2021. You understand that?
Yes.
Great. And you came back to California on what date?
I don't recall the exact date, but I also extended a 6-month.
I understand. When did you come back to California? In March. That's what you said here. I think in March.
Okay, right now I don't recall.
I think in March of 2022 is when you ultimately came back because they vacated sometime the beginning of March.
No. I came back prior to that. I stayed with my son for a year until
the lease was up?
Yes, ma'am.
Your son lives in California?
Yes, Beaumont, California.
Now, I'd like to see the extension of the lease for 6 months. Okay, so you acknowledge, Mr. and Mrs. Blue, that the 6-month extension that you both signed terminated on December 31st.
Yes.
Did you vacate the house on December 31st?
No, we hadn't found a place yet.
That's not her problem. That would be your problem. Did she give you permission to stay beyond December 31st?
Rochelle Johnson claims her sister-in-law, Monique Blue, and her brother, Antonio Blue, owe for unpaid rent and window blinds. Monique and Antonio are countersuing for harassment and invasion of privacy.
Okay. Did she give you permission to stay beyond December 31st?
No.
So you stayed beyond December 31st. Were you there in January?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer. Were you there in February?
Yes.
Were you there on March 1st?
Yes.
On March 2nd?
Yes.
On March 3rd?
Yes.
On what day in March did you move out?
March 5th.
Did you pay rent in the month of January?
No.
February?
No.
March?
No.
Okay, that's what you're suing for.
Right.
Well, you have a defense for not paying rent for those 3 months, which you clearly occupied her premises. Who wants to tell me why you didn't pay rent?
She told us in the beginning we were supposed to buy the house. We did numerous renovations to our house. We cleaned it up. And when we first moved in July 1st, it wasn't move-in ready.
I don't care. You lived there. Not only did you live there, you executed a second lease for another 6 months. You lived there from the beginning of the lease up until March 5th, which is 3 months beyond when you were supposed to be there. I'm waiting for a defense and not paying rent.
Yes. For July 2019, when we first moved in, the house was hideous. She had stuff in every room. We weren't able to move our stuff in.
Did you live there?
Yes, we had nowhere else to go.
I don't care. You had a choice. If the house wasn't in move-in condition, you break your lease, but you don't say at the end of the lease, by the way, when we were there 2.5 years ago, the house wasn't ready for us to move in. It wasn't in condition that we liked. We lived there anyway. So that's not an excuse for not paying rent at the other end. Anything else?
Yeah. She offered to give us the last month rent that we were there for free.
The last month?
The last month rent. I have the papers.
Well, I'd like to take a look at that, but you owe 3 months.
3 months? We moved off March 5th.
I don't care. You were there March 1st. That's the month.
Okay.
Did you indicate to them that you would give them a month off the rent? Okay.
No, ma'am.
She says that you did. I'd
I would
like
to see
it.
your evidence as well.
No, just shh. No, she agreed to waive the final month's rent for the period of April 1st, 2022 to May 2nd, 2022. You were gone in March.
Right.
And your lease, for some reason, she agreed to waive rent for a month that you weren't there. She didn't waive January, February, or March. She agreed to waive it April 1, 2022 to May 2nd, 2022. That's no evidence that she waived any rent.
We moved out in March 5th. Why do we still owe her for March?
Because you were there in March.
Okay.
If she was using the premises as a rental premises and you were leaving at the end of February, then she would have been able to rent her premises beginning March 1st. You don't move out until March 5th. The beginning of March. That means she needs a couple of days, or any landlord would need a couple of days to put the place in order and re-rent it. They wouldn't be able to re-rent until April. So you were there. Is there any reason you stayed until March 5th instead of... Just a second. You didn't let me finish the question. Is there any reason why you didn't move out the last day in February and instead stayed into March?
Because our house wasn't ready yet.
What do you mean it wasn't ready?
We wasn't ready to move in there yet.
What was wrong with it? Where did you move?
Victorville, California.
Okay. To what kind of property?
We bought a house.
Okay. When did you buy the house? What month?
We get close January something.
So you bought the house in January.
Mm-hmm.
When you inspected the house that you bought, did you buy it furnished or unfurnished?
Unfurnished.
Did you have furniture in the plaintiff's house?
Yes.
You'll give her the address so she can check it?
Yes.
Great. Sarah, just look it up for me, please. On what date did you close on that property?
February?
No, don't.
February.
On what date, sir, did you close on that property? It's probably in the record.
I can't remember offhand.
We're not talking about so long ago. Is there an address?
February 7th is listed as the closing date.
2/7. So the house became yours on February 7th. That sound familiar? That's what it says.
Yes.
Well, then you had 3 weeks to move in, to get it ready.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, mm-hmm.
All right. Fine, so you owe her 3 months' rent at $1,600 a month.
What about the renovations we did to her house?
Who cares? I live in a place for a couple of years and I make changes to the place that I find make it more comfortable. There's nothing in this lease agreement that says that she has to reimburse you for things that she did, and this is not a rent-to-buy agreement. This is a straight tenancy agreement.
We were supposed to buy her house.
There are agreements that are rent-to-buy that list what the rental is and what the ultimate purchase price will be, and whether or not you can deduct the rent that you've paid or a percentage of it from the total purchase price, or whether you cannot. This is a straight rental agreement. So if you made improvements in the house, if you painted it, if you put in new carpeting to make it more comfortable for yourself, you don't get reimbursed for that because there's nothing in your lease that requires her to reimburse you for any improvements that you make in the house. You're bound by the